one of the greatest statements I ever heard was, be the best you can be at everything that takes no talent.
I'm shooting by far the best I've ever shot in my life this whole year. I needed to get back to what I need to do. I need to get out there and kick ass. That's the simple bottom line.
I'm always trying to shoot against the course, not the person, because I can't control what they do.
I've broke 7 bones in my spine, and I'm 51 years old. I've got every excuse in the world for not shooting.
Anytime Brandon throws shows like that, you know something good happened for him.
We want to be able to bring you raw action, raw interviews from events, so you can. We want to put the event in your living room. If you can't be there, we want you to be there.
Don't be afraid to miss. Shoot for the fences.
What are you saying, that? I mean,
You're welcome.
I didn't come out of the cage and say, oh, I just threw it away. I just man, I just missed him. Get after it on the next one.
You know, sir, you really shouldn't have done that. Well, they stopped shooting.
You're kidding me.
Well, yeah, they stopped shooting because they didn't want to shoot you.
Okay, we're live. Okay, so thanks for doing the interview, Wendell.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming. I'm glad you got to come out to the club.
Yeah.
And teach a little bit, shoot a little bit, hang out a little bit.
Yeah, it was really a fun time. It's cool being here when there's no tournaments and you get to see the actual beauty of the place.
Yeah.
Without the hundreds or thousands of people, it's a really beautiful place.
Yeah.
The whole area is really beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'd like to do for this interview is, instead of focusing on what pretty much every interview that anybody does in the shooting world, and ask you about mechanics and technique and stuff like that, I want the interview to be about you. I'm just gonna like frame up everything,
Yep.
and I want to take you back to the beginning of your shooting career.
Yep.
Actually, maybe even before that, and start with something very simple. So, do you? I'm not specifically talking about the frame of time when you look at yourself as a sporting clays competitor.
Right.
So in your whole life, do you remember the first time that you ever held a shotgun, and where were you, and what did it feel like?
I remember exactly. I was 8 years old. My dad bought me a 20 gauge single shot. I think it was an H&R that had the top latch on the side. It wasn't up on the top, so it was on the side. And
cool.
And the very first shot I shot was in my mom and dad's backyard at a piece of paper to see if it fit and see what the pattern was.
Yeah.
Right, and that was the very first shot I shot. I remember with the shotgun, and then so Dad and I, every chance we got, we would just go hunt small game stuff. Yeah, so simple, something that a boy can do.
And how much was that, if at all, part of your life between, let's say, that moment and then the first time you ever held a shotgun on a sporting clays course?
Well, see, when I was little, people would come to my house and they would tell me about my grandfather who died before I was born. And he was kind of a local hero and known to be a crack shot. And they would have these shooting matches with 22s mainly. And the bullet hole that got closest to the X won whatever the prize was. And back then, they were shooting for hams and turkeys and stuff like that. And they said my grandfather would get about 3 shoots in the wind, go beat everybody, and you'd see him come back through on a horse he's riding, and said the horse would be loaded down with all the stuff that he won.
Seriously?
And then people would come up out of the city to bird hunt with my granddad, and I've heard the story from so many people who don't know each other. They said your granddad would shoot quail on the rise and take a full choke gun and clip their heads off.
Holy cow.
And I've heard the story from so many people. It had to be true because they don't know each other.
Yeah.
They've never talked to each other. And so those stories was some books that I kind of bought when I was a kid. It was a $1.98 book of the Remington Traveling Pros.
Yes.
And I still have it to this day, and I read those stories in there. Dr. Lee Braum was in that, a Hall of Fame skeet shooter, but it was about skeet and trap. Because at the time I started, there was no sporting clays.
Right.
Right. And so the stories of my grandfather, coming from a family who hunted as a way of life, that book just made me fantasize about being a pro.
Really?
From a very early age. And I can say that even though I was playing guitar at 6, it was about equal of who I wanted to be.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's really what started all of it, was just those stories that I heard and that simple little book I read.
Did it put those people on a pedestal of like heroes of yours?
I remember being in the yard and these doctors from the city would show up, and they're all wearing like knee-high LL Bean boots, and they've got a Browning A5, which looked like high-tech stuff to me, you know.
Yeah.
And either have that or maybe a Model 12.
Yeah.
Right. And I got to go along on those hunts, and I was just a boy, you know, just basically go find the birds, right?
You were the dog?
Yeah. But they just looked like giants to me, you know. They were intimidating, and they were big guys, and they were, you know, a man's man, and from the old school. So you're talking about guys who probably fought in WW2.
Oh, wow.
Right. So it was that type of thing. And as I grew up too, we were farmers, and we were very close to the land. We hunted a lot, grew our own food. So, you know, everybody talks about being a prepper today. Hell, I've been prepping my whole life, right? Right. So that's kind of the way it was that we grew up in Appalachia.
Yeah. What town?
It's called Crossroads. Denton's Crossroads. There's no town there. There used to be a store. There's not even a post office.
Really?
Right. It's just all farms. Solana would actually be the closest little town. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's where I went to school at. And that's on Del Hollow Lake. So if anybody knows anything about fishing, they've heard of that lake.
Yes.
And just a great smallmouth lake. And so that's where our family place is, very close to that lake. And that's where I'm from. And I think my fifth grandfather, Carrie Cherry, was born in 1790 in Norfolk, Virginia, and moved into that area. And he died in 1859. And he must have had a lot of money because he had a lot of sons and bought most of the county.
Really?
And gave each of his
farming?
sons, gave each of his sons huge parcels of land and stuff. So that's the very first of my people that came into that land. And most are still there.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
I actually didn't know that your family had been here for so long.
Yeah.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I asked that question.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I want you to filter that same question through the first time you ever took a shotgun to a sporting clays course. Or actually, sporting clays.
Okay.
Not any clay target, but
Yeah,
sporting.
well, I shot trap before sporting clays. And one day I was quail hunting, and my granddaddy did, my daddy did, we all did. And I've been out on public ground and walked all day, hadn't found one bird. Right, and I had an 870 pump gun in the truck and dogs on the back of the truck.
How long were the barrels?
26 inches.
26.
Yeah, and that back then there was no choke tube, so that was an IC barrel. Your mod was 28 and your full was 30, and I had all three.
Yeah.
Right.
All three barrels.
Yeah. Right. So because there was no tubes at that time.
Right.
Right. So I'm driving along, going back home, not in a great mood at all, and I see this homemade sign, like on a piece of cardboard. Somebody took a Sharpie and put sporting clays range with an arrow. So I followed that to another sign just like it.
Did you know what that was?
Yeah, I'd seen it in books.
Okay.
Right. So I follow that sign to another sign like it. I pull up, and Roy and Stella South comes out of the clubhouse. They own this, and this is a little mom and pop deal. But it was our only range. I didn't even know it was there. And they take me out, and I get my pump gun out of the truck, and they walk me through every station. Right. I shoot.
These were hand thrown?
Huh?
Hand thrown?
These were hand cocked traps.
Yeah.
Right. So there was no battery powered traps at that time. And I shot 83. And I stopped on the way home on a payphone. I said, I just did the coolest thing. And I knew right then that's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I just knew that's what I was going to do. So I said, I'll be back. And so the next week I show up with a Browning over and under of some sort, and I shot my pump gun better than I shot that because it didn't fit at all.
Did you go out and buy the gun?
Yeah.
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 And
then I went to that to a bunch of cheap Berettas. I own 5 or 6 of those.
Yeah.
Right, but that's what I started with.
Yeah. So, that feeling of discovery of that game or discipline, did it hit you like as you were doing it, or in retrospection after you got back in the truck? And
no, while it was going on, by about the third station, I'm going, holy crap!
Yeah.
Right, because all I'd ever seen is a grid on a trap field.
Yes.
Right, and you have to remember it at that time. All the heroes in my head, that's what they shot was trap. Right, and I didn't have enough money to shoot skeet.
Right.
Or my dad didn't, so everybody shot trap.
Yeah.
Right, skeet was kind of hard to find in the area that I'm from.
Yes.
But like even today, you can go out on those old farms and those old trap fields are still there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Out where you live.
Yeah.
Or grew up.
Yeah.
So hold on to what that experience was like.
Yeah.
And now at this stage in your career, when you step onto a competitive course in a tournament, what are you searching for, both internally and emotionally? And is that feeling, however you would describe it, that you had back then when you went onto that course by the third station, is it still the same, or has it evolved?
It's evolved, but it's still very much the same as well. You know, I'm in a much different place now, you know, than I was then. So probably see it through a bit of a different filter, but at the same time, like if I'm in a really good match, maybe, you know, like the World Fee Task or something like that, and you walk up to a cool peg, it's the same feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's never really changed since I was a boy.
Was there a moment between then and now where, well, let me ask you this. After that first day, number one, did you even know there was like a whole competitive avenue to take in that sport? No?
No.
So then where along the lines of your journey of discovering this game did the filter switch to, oh, this is really fun, to, I want this to be a job?
Yeah. Well, like the first day I thought, I'm going to figure out how to make money at this.
Yeah.
And so I shot a couple of practices, and then I joined the NSCA, and we started at D class back in those days, and started in D, and just started to compete at small matches. And I shot small matches for probably 3 years before I ever seen a major. Mm-hmm. And I wish young people would do that.
I do too.
Today, because I think a lot of kids go in ill prepared, and they become accustomed to losing, and then they get okay with it. And I was in an environment I didn't have to really shoot good, and I was going to be successful.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to win my class, or maybe close to HOA, or maybe even HOA.
Yeah.
Right. I remember shooting a 77. I was so proud of that card, and I would take and show everybody my card, right, on 77. But you got to remember back then, because I would go through all the mags in the back and see what the average score was for a win. And if you could shoot 83, 166, you'd win.
Yeah.
And I knew what the number was, and I knew what the average was. And so right off the bat, I was thinking about that. Plus, I had competed in trap and sport in school stuff, so kind of had that nature anyway. But that's really the only way you could prove your skill level is you have to sign up for a match.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can't do the gunfighting anymore. Too bad.
Yeah, I think going back to the point that you made about kids, you know, nowadays just immediately getting thrown into these massive events.
Yeah.
I think not only do you know, I mean, you're immediately thrown into shooting against the best in the country at least. But the other thing I think that happens that you get at a small shoot that you don't get at a big shoot in the beginning of your career or journey as trying to get better, is that there's so much stimuli around you that it just absorbs your attention and your enthusiasm in a good way, but it distracts you from being able to be self-reflective and kind of turn the microscope in on yourself and be like, okay, what should I do to improve, or where could I?
If you look at what Earl Woods did with Tiger, when Tiger was a boy, Tiger never played in an environment that he wasn't going to win in.
Yeah.
Earl was brilliant with that. He always put him in a place that he was better than, right? And from the word go, he was a champion. He had a champion's mindset because why? He was winning.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter that he was not playing against anybody. It was conditioning his mindset.
Yeah.
And, you know, we did a little bit of that with you as a kid. I would sign hats and plant the seeds and have conversations and kind of the same way. Not that you really shot a lot of small matches. Maybe you did a little bit.
I did,
but not a lot.
Yeah. Well, when I very first started, like my dad and I sat down and he gave me goals of like we tiered out different sizes or importance levels of tournaments, and I would have to, in the tier below, compete at a certain level before I was able to pick a shoot to go to at the next, which is actually how I met you at the Browning Briley back in whenever that was, 2000, 2001 or whatever.
I remember one time you were at M&M and you were acting up. You were a little bitty kid. and I'm going to tell this because it ain't never been told. So we're at M&M and I'm shooting pretty good. And I don't really remember if I won that week or not, but you were up there, you and your dad, and evidently you weren't behaving right. So he takes your gun away.
I can't believe this story.
Takes all your crap away, locks it in the car, and then he goes and sits on this bench with you. And I don't know how long that was, but I would say hour or more, and just made you sit there and watch everybody else shoot and drive by and having a good time, and that was it.
Yep.
And I don't think you ever acted up anymore.
No. What I always appreciated about my parents is they taught me through lessons and not through.
They never pressured you.
No, they never pressured
you. You had a great set of parents. They played you so good.
Yeah.
And they worked with me to even be to make my job easier and better.
Well, they trusted you.
Yeah, and but. You know, if you went out and you did poorly, they never said a word.
Mm-mm.
If you went out and won, they didn't say a word.
Never said a word. Yeah.
No, it was just even keel all the time. It was always positive, but not syrupy.
Yeah.
But they just played it so well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really think that had as much part to play in your success as the coaching did.
Yeah.
Because they really gave you the right amount of encouragement, you know, and we're talking about kids going to majors right off the bat, and it's just a herd mentality, right? And when you're building a champion or somebody's really serious and say, I want to be really good at this, you got to pull out of the herd.
Yeah.
And you need to go train and do the things you need to do, right, to become better, not follow what everybody else is doing, because when you do what everybody else is doing, you're just going to be like everybody else.
Yeah. As a kid, I can remember.
And you never traveled in a herd.
That's where I was going.
You were either with your dad or me all the time. You were never with people your own age, ever.
No.
You're the only kid that I ever knew that was allowed to stand in the circle.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Like all the older guys, all the pros, the real pros, they would allow you to stand there.
Yeah.
And talk.
Yeah. Right?
And nobody else is that. Not that I know. I've never seen that before or since.
No.
But I think it's just because you didn't hang with the kids, even though you were a kid, but you're always hanging with us, and I think that did you a lot of great service.
Well, I can, going back and being, retrospective myself, I didn't want to hang out with the kids.
No.
Because
well, the truth is, like, if you pulled up on a golf cart, they'd all come over to your cart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But really, the reason why that was the case for me was because you presented such a good role model in yourself for me that I just wanted to hang around you.
Yeah.
And I wanted to. I remember a conversation my dad had with me at the Homestead Cup when I was maybe 12 or 13, and he pulled me aside. I was sitting at the table with you for lunch. We just got off the course, and he's like, David, you need to let Wendell have some time. Not, you need to not just follow him around like a shadow. I was like, but I want to.
Well, for years we shot every event together.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's table that for later.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I want to focus a little bit on your current headspace and how you see competition now versus earlier on in the beginning of your introduction to the game, and use a filter of philosophical depth kind of to
well, when I'm starting out, the headspace is and I don't think this ever stops, but you have to prove that you belong by winning, right? And that's the ultimate goal in the beginning, right? now at 61, guess what? You still got to prove it. Every day you got to prove it. So rinse, do every day.
Yes.
You know, and so that's what keeps me going. That, you know, that makes me want to train it. You know, my headspace from the beginning till now, I feel like I've been doing this for 2 weeks, and I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And I still feel that way to this day.
Yeah.
Every day I walk out, it almost feels like I've only done this a time or two. Right? And I probably got more range time than anybody.
Right. Yeah.
Right? But it always feels new. It feels like it did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I love that about it. And there's nothing else really that I do that feels that way.
No, there's nothing for me either. I think that is, I think that's one of the most amazing things about this game, because I totally relate to this statement. It always feels new,
Yeah.
because the only way, it's not possible to master the game. And the only way to, once you reach a certain level, to keep getting better and to continue to learn is to learn yourself and to try to master yourself. And so that always feels new, because as a person, you're always evolving.
Yeah. So, you know, so your question was a headspace when I started and now.
Well, no, the question would be, how do you feel like, because of this game, that you've evolved as both an athlete and a person?
I think when I started, you know, you don't know how to attack. I would just attack, you know. And so by attack, I mean lots of try, lots of intensity, lots of desire, right? Lots of emotion, right? Lots of happiness, lots of anger, you know, all that stuff. Now it's much, well, so then I'm just trying to prove I belong. Well, now I'm in the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. So now it's really understanding what optimal headspace is and where mine is, and trying to live there, and it's peace.
Yeah.
And knowing that regardless of the result of this shot or this match, it's okay. Right. But you have to be careful with that and not allow that to steal your drive.
Yeah.
Right. It's not so open.
Very fine line.
Yeah, it's a fine line. But you know, when I shoot really well, it's calm and it's slow and it's comfortable, right? And it's well, you just said last night, you know, the last two stations at the Open, I'm sleepy.
Yeah.
And I was.
Yeah, that you, as always, tend to be very intuitive with where I'm going with things, and that you immediately just brought me right into the next thing. So last night we were talking on the porch, and I mentioned that you, and I think every one of the greats in everything, are your toughest critic. And I think that that's a requirement to achieving a level of success that people can be the equivalent of those people in that Remington book when you were a little kid for you.
Yeah.
But I would say that something feels different about you now. And I'm wondering if, and I mean, not as in like you've lost the ability to do that, but I think the way that you are your own toughest critic has changed in a good way. There's like a calmness and a presence and based off last night's conversation, a neutrality to the value of the way that you are able to do that. I'm wondering if you noticed that too at a conscious level, and if so, what changed?
Yeah, it's just more peace. It's well, kind of like I said earlier, it's learning where your optimal is, and trying to stay there and trying to stay away from anything that pulls you out of that headspace. Right? You know, the wrong people can pull you out, the wrong circumstances, and all of that. And I think my whole career, my problem has never been shooting.
Yeah.
The shooting part is actually the easiest part for me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm so hard on myself and I ask so much of myself that the negativity that comes with that when I fail has been my blessing and my curse.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know that better than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the negativity, I never really believe it. It's like I got to blow that steam off, throw my fit.
Yeah.
Right. But do I really believe that I'm not good or that I failed? Not really.
Yeah. I think it's
That's
like,
not really what I believe deep down. No.
No, because what I think criticism and the negativity, the filter of negativity does is you'll experience an emotion in real time because of it, but then that only lasts for a very short period of time.
That's right.
And what it actually does is acts as something that refocuses your attention for what to
Absolutely
improve.
Yeah, it's the fuel that gets the work done.
Do you think that people who are afraid to allow themselves to experience that can ever achieve their true potential?
No,
Neither
absolutely
do I.
not. No,
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah, both.
So so when I'm teaching, I try to assess all this. I'm not just assessing the stroke.
Yeah.
I listen very closely to what you say. I try to figure out where you live at in your head. I try to see what your tendencies and urges are.
Yeah.
What your personality is, how you think.
Yeah.
And I'm working on that while I'm teaching you how to move the gun. All of that. I'm planting seeds, saying it. I'll even shame you into it. I'll do it. Like if it's a big problem, I'll tell you.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you have to.
Because if I don't, we're not going to be able to be successful.
Yeah. I want to apologize for all of the years that you had to live inside of my head.
Well, no, the only thing you
I hope
ever
you're not
did that
too
bothered me
emotionally
was you always
scarred.
had your finger in my eye when I was trying to view showbirds.
Oh. Yeah, if I'll maybe we can negotiate a percentage of your therapist bill that I can pay
There
for
we
you.
go. There we go.
Okay, so you've competed for a very long time, and I want to know if you still feel pressure, and if you do, is it the same as earlier on when you internally knew what your potential was, but didn't have the resume to prove it? And if it's different in any way, how and why has it changed?
It shouldn't be more now, because I'm in the Hall of Fame. There's a couple of shoots I'd like to win before I'm done. But I've won most everything multiple times except San Antonio, and I've only gotten silver at the Worlds, right? But if I could fix that, I've won most everything, 4 and 5 times. And I feel more pressure now than I did early on. And the reason why is I didn't know enough early on to actually feel the pressure.
Yeah.
I didn't know the truth. And so I was brash enough, dumb enough, arrogant enough to not suspect that, hey, I may not be able to do this.
Yeah.
I was just dumb enough to think I'm the best in the world. Right?
That's a really cool perspective.
And that works for some people.
Yeah.
For a while.
Yes.
Right? Now I know.
Yeah.
Right? Now I know what the truth is. And I'm happy with the truth.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty confident with the truth. But totally different headspace, and I feel much more pressure now than I did in the beginning. I didn't know enough. I just thought I didn't know enough about it to not think that I was great.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that, that's actually a very self-aware answer, Wendell, because where I think that it's easiest to, if you examine the sport as a whole and the history of competitors and champions in different events, not necessarily champions as in their career as a whole. But where I think that you see that, where I think that you see the evidence for what you just said, is in the period of time between the ages of like 17 to 21, where a lot of kids put themselves in the position to kind of be awed or to awe like everybody paying attention to the sport and thinking that they're going to be the next greatest person to dominate the sport, and then they disappear.
Yeah.
And I think where that comes from, and I can tell you, speaking from personal experience, that I went through that as well. I hope that I don't disappear, but you know, like there is definitely a stage where it is ignorance and a lack of life experience that allows you to think, you know, oh, nobody can touch me. And that itself acts as such a catalyst, like literally dumping a whole tank of nitrous in a tank. That's right. But it blows up fast.
That's right.
And the only way really, I think, truly to make it out of that as a competitor and then not be the one that nobody hears from afterwards is to eventually get to a state personally of like self-actualization where you can remove your own ego.
Yep.
And
then if you can say I'm the man, then you are.
Then you are, yeah. and if you can remove that and say, you know what, I won those things at that time, or I was performing really well during that time, but I actually truly don't or didn't know how to do it if I had to.
Yeah.
And
well, here's the thing. You know, we talked to this after we stopped last night. You can't recreate the past.
No.
And I think a lot of people try to, you know, they remember that good season they had and they try to go back and recreate that. That's one and done.
Yeah.
And you have to learn to live where you are now.
Yeah.
And win where you are now, because you're constantly evolving.
Yes.
You can never go back there because you're never going to be that same guy again.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're the better guy.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why you can't go back. And that's also why when you're having those runs, cherish them, because that period of time never comes back. You can't reproduce it.
Yeah.
And at the time you're in it, you think this is going to go on forever.
Forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think it's very self-defining.
Yeah. I mean, I never dreamed I would go out and lose half my shoots.
Yeah.
I never dreamed that would ever happen to me.
Yeah. You know, I had, it was maybe like 4 years ago, I got a phone call from, I don't remember who it was, but they were doing an interview for a magazine. I think it was Clay Shooting USA. And it was some guy doing a like deep dive on the statistics and analytics of like head-to-head comparison of all the pros. And so he wanted to talk to me because by doing, I don't know if this holds true now. I would doubt that it does. But at the time, he said, now this is different from resumes or anything like this, but he said that for, I don't know how many pros that he took, but what he did was take all of us and then every event that we ever shot against any one of us, and then basically created a ranking sheet of how many times that you beat each other person in any event across every tournament that you've ever gone to.
Right.
And that I was the only person at the time that had a positive win rate over every other person.
Right.
And so he started the interview off by telling me that and explaining me it. And then he asked me what I thought contributed to that unique stat. And I said, so what you're telling me is that no other pro right now has beat all the other pros more often than I have? And he said, yes. So I said, there are, it's like, there's definitely other ways and way more important ways, because really who thinks about that stat?
Right.
Way more important ways to determine who the best is. But I said, by that metric, you could say that right now I'm currently the best. And he said, yes. I said, okay, so the way that I would answer your question is that, do you know how many times I've ever won outright the shoot that I went to? And he said, yeah. And he looked it up, and it was like a single-digit %. And I said, I think it was like 6%. 6% of tournaments that I ever went to, I won. And so I said, the thing that I would probably contribute to that, or attribute to that stat, would be the fact that I recognize that by that metric, the best in the game right now loses 94% of the time. And which is a wild thing to think about. Imagine in any other sport,
nobody would play.
could you imagine? Like the NBA champions lost 94% of the games they played.
But probably golfers do, though.
Yes, yeah. That's one of the things I think that's so unique about individual sports, and I think why it feels like what you said, is that it's always new. Because it's not about winning. If you measure your success over what you've won and not what you've learned or what you've achieved like internally, I mean, if I turn the scope around on myself and thought about like, okay, really how successful am I? Be like, well, god dang, I'm horribly.
I don't think you can get those high win rates or those Hall of Fame resumes unless you do look internally and fix that. And fix you first, because you're not going to be good enough to get there.
No.
Just the pressure of all that. And, I was triple captain 4 years in a row, captain of Team USA, sporting captain Team USA, FITAS, and captain of the All-American team.
Yeah.
Right? And the pressure of that 4 years in a row was tremendous.
Yeah.
Right? Because you didn't want to lose the streak, you know. And coming back, like we just talked about, all my heroes were captain of all American teams and stuff like that. So I took that, super serious and stuff. But without, they ask, well, what has shooting taught you? And literally, as I think about it, it's taught me everything.
Everything. I'm the same way.
And I hope that's what everybody gets out of the game, although I know they won't.
No.
But I hope at least some do.
I think if you don't get that out of the game, then you won't look at the game as a lifelong pursuit.
I think anybody can get that out of the game if your standard's high enough.
Yeah.
But you got to have high standards.
Yeah.
To be good at anything.
Yes. I think based off that, I know the answer to this question. Do you think that shooting is more about conquering the target or a score, or about conquering yourself?
I think a target doesn't have a thing to do with anything. They're all just doing the same thing. They're all flying. There's no aerodynamic change in any of them.
Yeah.
They're all doing the same thing. So if they're doing the same thing, shouldn't we be doing the same thing?
Yeah.
Right? So I don't understand why we sweep this and we pull away from this and sustain this if they're all doing the same thing.
Yeah. Well,
right.
100%.
Right.
The way I look at it is, if the way that you approach the game works for only a percentage of the game, and so then therefore you have to compartmentalize different approaches as a whole, I don't feel like what you're doing is the best.
No, I think the target has nothing to do with it, really, and everything is about you.
Yes.
And your analyzation of every shot, not of the target, other than how you saw it. Right, but the analyzation is about you. Mm-hmm. How did that feel? Truly, how did that feel? Pay attention to the bottoms of your feet. If you push with your feet, you'll feel that there first. Tension coming up through the legs and through the torso. What you were thinking, how present you were, how much muscle was in that, how tight was it, how big was my visual cone?
Yeah.
Did I pick up the second target small, or was I seeing big because of the tension that I built in the first shot? All those things, right, needs to be monitored and analyzed after every boom.
Yeah.
Right? And how many people do that?
Yeah, oh man.
Virtually nobody well enough.
Yeah.
And I'd even say that about a lot of the pros.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
They're very talented, and they're great shots. A lot of them Hall of Famers. But do they really analyze what just happened? I know some don't.
Yeah.
Right? Some of them load so fast that there's no post shot at all.
Yeah.
Right? It's just
I think that is without trying to be controversial, I think that's an archetype of personality that does that in order to get ahead of the analyzation so that self-doubt doesn't creep in the approach.
I agree. I think most people I see loads fast or they don't run programs. Who, the greatest of all time, George, he doesn't run programs. He loads fast, and he's my hero. But I think it's just so he doesn't have to think.
Yeah.
I think. I don't really know. I don't know.
I can't do that.
I'm not sure if George knows. He's just the greatest of all time.
I think a unique thing about him is that, none of us will ever know what it's like to compete in a match with the history that he has of success. And
just his aura, like I noticed last Super Final in San Antonio, I was in a shoot-off with Falls and Anthony for a prelim, and I beat them, and then we go into the Super Final. George comes in. You haven't seen George all week. You never see him this Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Right? Comes in, and he's like holding court. He comes up to me, shakes my hand, and he's letting you know that this is his house.
Yeah. Yeah. You step into his domain.
Right. And so he's master of ceremonies. He's coming to you. He's got his hand out, and he's letting you know I'm here. Yeah. Right. And that night after the second peg, I'm going, well, who's shooting for second? And that's just the way he thinks, and that's his game. George's game is not what he's thinking before the target so much. It's he loves being George Digweed. Yeah, he loves it. Yeah, and he's always up. He's always having a big time, and if you shot 100 straight, he'll tell you shot 105. Yeah, right. But he's just awesome.
Do you remember the I think it was 2008 or 2007, the super final at Lakenheath, England, that he was in, and on the very first peg, as he walked into the cage, he was laughing so hard he couldn't control his body. Yeah. Still ended up winning. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah, he's definitely in all of the best sense of the word, a very gregarious personality.
He is. He loves it. Yeah, and very comfortable with that. Yeah, and he's a freak of nature, and I think George has been better at what he does than anybody's ever been. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, I think George Digweed is better than Tiger Woods. I think because he did it longer.
For so long, yeah.
And he's better than Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. Or LeBron James. Mm-hmm. It's just because he's been doing it for 5 decades, dude.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. So I want to go back to the topic of learning. And do you think there's a difference between practicing and learning?
Yeah, I don't think you got to practice to learn.
Yeah. Do you think that as far as the headspace that you're required to be in, is there a difference between when you're out practicing for the purpose of learning?
That's the first hurdle a good shooter's got to get past. I tell everybody it's going to take you 4 years to do this. You'll be able to move right in two seasons, all right, but you won't be able to do it under pressure until 4, if then at all. Yes. Absolutely, the headspace you have in practice, there's no pressure, there's no result, there's no outcome. And so you shoot freely and you shoot great in practice, you shoot big numbers and see them all, right? Then somebody gets a scorecard, right? And all of a sudden we go from monster numbers and great technique to odds are coming off, checking it, right? Losing your composure, the whole thing, and then we shoot 88. Yeah. Right?
Right. Has there ever been a moment for you when you felt like either that you mastered your shooting or that you learned or figured out everything that you needed to know about the game in a mechanical and technical sense, and then only to realize that that was not true?
Well, I don't think you really get good at what you do until you question everything you do.
Yeah. Oh, very good answer.
I know when I was young, I was firm. I had these things that I believed, right? And they're very important, and they were foundational beliefs, only to change later.
Yeah.
I'm going, that's not right.
Yeah.
Right. I've looked at what I teach and what I do with a very critical eye, and I can't find anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I look and I question.
Yes.
And is it the end all be all? No, nothing is. Everything has a compromise. Everything comes at a price. But overall, if there's something better, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And maybe somebody somewhere sometime will come up with something more advanced, but I don't believe anybody's doing anything more advanced than what we're doing right now.
Yeah, I think
And I would say that worldwide.
What's that?
And I mean that worldwide, not just this country. I don't think anybody in the world is doing a more sophisticated,
holistic approach to shooting. Yeah. It's about the mind, the body, the soul, the movement, everything.
It is. It's all one.
Yeah.
And so as these techniques have evolved, I really haven't been able to improve what I first came up with. And maybe someday somebody can. So far, I think it's the best thing we got.
Yeah. I think that it's
way different than most people shoot. It's initially it's way harder.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I always tell people that
it doesn't take a lot of skill to soft focus and swap at a bird and hit it.
Yeah. Well, the difference is that in the opposite approach to the game, what you're doing is you are learning consciously controlled movements and based off of visual information, and you can verify in real time and you can correct in real time in placement. But what that does is it keeps you fully unaware of everything else you were talking about in terms of how's my body moving, what's the distribution and change of balance and weight of my feet, where's my tension coming, how are my eyes working. All of those things in the opposite approach you are oblivious to. So what happens is very quickly you can increase the score that you're shooting. But when you get to your plateau point, what ends up happening in that approach is that now you don't know how you're doing anything. You only know what it looks like. And so if you take the approach through the school of, shooting and everything that you literally came up with that I want to talk about later, what you're doing is you're learning to master and control your body and do it in a way that perfects the way that what you see happens. And that requires neurologically attention on you and not the bird. And so, and it also is very hard. It's not very hard, but it requires attention on perfecting small, minuscule movements. What happens is when you're doing that, you're rewiring the way that the brain controls the body based off of visual information. But then once that clicks, and it doesn't take very long, because from a neurological standpoint, I can tell you that the change in the brain that is required to move mechanically perfect in the way that you teach is exactly the same as what's required to learn how to tie your shoes.
Well, it seems more simple than that. Check this out. It's actually more simple than that. It's nothing more than the way you point your finger.
Yeah,
It's just no more than that. It's exactly how you point your finger at anything moving.
Yeah.
I mean, you could contrive and point your finger at something and pull away from it. You could start behind it and sweep through it. You would never do that. You would have to consciously think to do that.
Yes.
And so it's as simple as pointing your finger. It's and that's actually what I'm teaching is you're actually going to move the gun the way you would subconsciously point your finger.
Yeah, you're leveraging what I always tell people is that the way that you or I teach or shoot is leveraging a human skill and not a shooting skill.
That's right. That's exactly correct. And think about this. Every time you call pull and your finger's up there and you point your finger at your showbird or on your showbird, not at your showbird, your finger starts ahead and it stays ahead. And the spacing that it stays at never changes its size. That's your conscious brain saying, David, put it here. This is this big. And then say, I want to see it again. And it does the same thing again. Okay? All right? So that's programmed. All right? Then we hand someone else a gun who shoots some other technique. And so he sees it the same way. His finger starts ahead, stays ahead. The space ahead stays the same size. Twice. Right? It's programmed. All right? Then we hand him a gun and he points at the target.
Yeah.
Right? And the subconscious steps in and goes, that's in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Right? So it sends the eyes off, so you'll bring it back to snuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a very simple synopsis of what actually goes on. And there's other variations of that, but that's the most simple one.
Yeah.
And so you would never put your finger where you put the gun.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. It's a very fun thing to teach somebody and see the evolution of. Let me ask you this question. Is there anything now, and take what I'm about to ask you and look at it in a broad sense. I don't necessarily mean mechanics. Is there anything now that you don't understand about shooting? No? Is there any question that you are currently in search of looking the answer for?
Yeah. There's one I've been trying to answer, and what the optimal pre-shot is.
Yeah.
Right? And I've been talking about it for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't answer that question. I can teach you a pre-shot that I've taught many people and has won lots of championships.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But that's one question I wish I had a better answer for. So all I do is I teach the one that's won the most, right? And we go with that, and with saying that at some point this will change and will evolve as you evolve,
mm-hmm.
right? But I wish I could nail down and just say, okay, this is optimal. This is what you need to do. And I'm not even for sure now, after all these years, that some people even need a program.
Yeah.
I think the more brain activity you have, the faster you think, the more forward thinking you are, the more you chatter. Typically, you're smarter. The more dependent you are upon a program.
Yeah.
Right? The more empty you are, and less monitoring and conscious thinking that goes on. Typically, those guys tend to load and shoot more.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm not going to say everybody needs to run one.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a period of time I would.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's like Todd Hitch. I never talked about a pre-shot with him. And I thought about it. I'm watching him shoot, and I'm going, why give him a problem?
Yeah.
He's not having a problem. So why introduce something that could cause a problem?
Right.
So I just kept it alone.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't say anything about it. And sometimes good coaching is just knowing when to shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the more introspective and introspective that you are as a person, the more that you need to run a program
But think how
But-
many times I know, and I know you've struggled with the same thing.
Yeah.
I remember one day at Chicago, I was running a long program. I was down 5 in the first 2. So I just stopped it all and I started the rest of the course.
Yeah.
It was some story like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if the numbers are exactly right, but close. Mm-hmm. Right? So I know you've gone back and forth. I'll go into master day. I'll start with a long, then I'll go to half. Right? And sometimes I'll change right in the middle of the round, and I wish I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I
I
wish-
don't think that that's a bad thing.
Sometimes though, you know when you're shooting those big numbers, the 199s or whatever those are, I run the same thing all day long, and it's slow and it's long and it's laborsome and it's painful, right? But it seems like my huge numbers come that way.
I think that, we as people, everybody as a human being, the state of your mind and your ability to pay attention
Yeah.
and to think and to focus changes in real time.
Well, if you go back to the Open, I was running a long program, slow. I get called on it. Then we go to half program.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
Right? And that didn't hurt me. Then I go to the shoot off and run no program.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's all the same day.
Yeah. All in one run.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the more that you're relying on your own awareness of your
Yeah, you're
state of
exactly
being, the more in real time.
The
that
better
can
you
change.
know you, the more you can change those things up.
Yes.
As need be.
And the more effective you can always keep.
But that takes a
being.
long time to learn, doesn't
It
it?
takes a ridiculous amount, and I think that what it requires is to go through the stages of being very static in what your program
Yeah.
is, so that you learn when what works and when it doesn't.
That's what I tell everybody is we have to establish something.
Yes.
Right? Let's establish something.
Mm-hmm.
Right
You need
or
a
wrong.
hypothesis to test.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this is right now. This is the foundation of that, and this is the way we're going to do it, and then we will mold and shape as we go.
Yes.
But you have to establish some sort of consistent approach.
Yes. So when you're in a shoot off or like a high pressure situation, what's actually going through your mind? Like, is it quiet? Is it calculated? Is it different depending on the
It's
situation?
different all the time.
Different all the time.
I mean, I've had horrible shoot offs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know how many super finals I've been in, but it's been a lot. It's been most of them. And I've had a few really good runs in the super final. Most of them have been bad, you know, but then I've had some great shoot offs, right? And so, you know, it's I just try to stay out of shoot offs, right? And but it's, you know, shoot offs can be, well, you know, when you're shooting a few targets, anybody can jump up and beat you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I always you told me this as a little kid. You said that I never feel like I lost. I just felt like I ran out of targets.
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
And I love that approach
Yeah.
because really,
Yeah.
I
Yeah, you might have beat me on these 8 shoot off targets, but
Yeah.
if we were shooting 100 more,
Yeah.
that wouldn't happen.
give me 1,000 more.
That's
give
right.
me
That's right.
10,000 more. I'll whip your butt.
That's right.
You know?
Right. And that's kind of the way I feel. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's the truth, but I always just feel like I didn't really get beat. I just ran out of targets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do in a round or shoot off when doubt creeps in?
I just surrender.
Yeah.
I go strong to the components of my pre-shot or the occupying of my conscious mind, and I just surrender to that. And you know, when I get nervous or doubtful, I go straight to my technique,
Mm-hmm.
right, and my vision,
Mm-hmm.
right, and try to control the tension,
Mm-hmm.
right, and the chatter, right,
Yes.
and that's all you can do.
Yeah.
You know, you have to go straight to your fundamental.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what's trying to leave you.
Yeah, for sure.
As you get nervous and doubtful and scared, and I don't care what anybody says, there's going to be a point in your career when that happens.
Yeah.
I just try to go strictly to my technique and my vision, right, and just hope it's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there ever a moment in your career where you just felt completely unstoppable?
No. And I won a lot.
Yeah.
From say 2002 to really almost up to 15, certainly to 13. But up there, I won a lot, but I never felt unstoppable.
Yeah.
I always had enough fear in me. That's why I would go over train so much.
Yeah.
Right. I always was apprehensive and never. And like you were around me in those years, I don't think I ever gave off the air that I was unstoppable.
That's why I asked that question, because
I think I was the most doubtful guy there.
Well, I don't think that. The reason why I asked the question, thinking about it, is because I think that if your answer to that question is yes, then what that tells me is that you're somebody who rides off of momentum.
Yeah.
And is not really aware of your current state of everything that you have.
Yeah.
And doesn't really study the game yourself, and then work to continuously improve it. I think if you feel that way, you're blind to your shortcomings.
Yeah.
And everybody has them.
Yeah. I think probably right now one of the most things I'm proud of is being 61 and I still work on my game like I just started.
Yeah.
Right. And like you see me doing.
Yeah.
I'll go to practice before I go to work.
Yeah.
Like I'll be out there barely light and I'll go shoot 100 and then I'll go to work.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes I shoot through lunch
mm-hmm.
and then go to work
mm-hmm.
and then shoot after work.
I've been trying to shoot through lunch recently because
I can't say
lose
that
a little weight.
Yeah. I can't say that I really do that out of fear. I just do that because I want to.
Yeah. Well, I know that's true. I mean, I know I've been there.
I mean, I like doing the work.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell countless stories of as a kid, at Elk Creek or Quail Ridge, where I'd be staying on the property and you'd be staying on the property while I was getting lessons from you for half a day, and you'd be working with other people. We'd be there for a week, and
at the end of the day, we'd actually go shoot, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We'd hang around all day till 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
and then we would literally go and shoot till it was too dark to see.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like I was a motivator for that, because there'd be times where, like at Elk Creek, I'd go fishing with my dad in that pond, and we would hear bang, bang, bang until it got dark, and maybe about 30 minutes afterwards. You're like, well, Wendell's still out there.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember at Quail Ridge up in Indiana one time, you were young, and I go, okay, so we're going to do going away day today. And so I signed you one shot, right? And that's mainly what we talked about, the hour work of that, start time of that, all that. And I remember there's a big old chromatic trap close to the road, and it's a going away bird. And I take you out that morning, then I take somebody else out, and you're starting to practice. I go out, I come back by after that, and at least 2 hours later, you're still standing there.
Yeah.
And you emptied the entire carousel.
Yep.
Right, and probably filled it back up again. Yeah. I remember one time in Ardmore, Alabama, you shot 1,600 targets.
Yeah.
That time, and I tell everybody, they ask how much you shoot, and I go, probably doesn't shoot a lot, but you got to remember he practiced so hard and so well when he was young mm-hmm. that he doesn't have to work hard now.
Yeah. Right. I think that's the one difference that if you can learn this game from a technician at an early age as a kid, that that sticks with you so well.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate for that. But at the same time, a weakness of mine is that I know that I rely on that too much.
Yeah.
But the amount of work that needs to go into to achieve what you want is I think unperceivable to most people.
Yeah, and especially early on. You don't have to keep that pace forever, but the first 10 years you need to be burning powder.
You need to be burning it up. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Okay, so I want to move on to tying together your musical career with your shooting career, but also independently your musical career with your teaching career. and kind of find some of the similarities and the core components of you as a person that exist in all three of those things that are like really important to being and creating the person that you are in all of those categories. So I kind of want to focus on, let me first let you, in any way that you want to or think that you should, explain what shooting feels like to you on a physiological level. So do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah. It's all flow, and it's moving exactly at the same pace with something, which if you're playing in a band, that's exactly what it is, and it's the most exacting form of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything more exacting than that, than a metronome playing perfect time, and that's where everybody has to play, right? So, from a very early age, from 6 years old, I knew what flow and being able to match something up meant to a very high degree. And so, to me, shooting is exactly the flow. So, for me, if I quick mounted my gun, which if you know, so I see the bird and I mount the gun really quick, that means that the back of the gun is no longer in time to the target, and I've spent most of my energy going vertical.
Yeah.
Right. So when I do that, the insertion to the bird, the gun to the bird is too close to the bird because you went vertical, not lateral, assuming you're shooting across it. Right.
The gap will collapse.
Right. So the gap collapses. So you were out of time in the beginning, and now you got to fix that. So you got to speed away from it. Now you're out of time at the end. So you're never actually in time at any time. Right. If we played like that in a band, we'd have to stop.
Yeah.
Right. So we wouldn't have a groove.
You're right.
Right. So it's just about moving perfectly with a target. And I think a lot of shooters think that moving with a target is just at the muzzle.
Yes.
And it's probably more so at the back of the gun, the part that nobody talks about, the right hand, assuming you're a right-handed shooter, right? And so it's getting the front of the gun, the back of the gun, and the target all traveling at the same pace.
Yes.
Right? If you don't move on motion, none of that's possible. For two objects to move together, they got to start together.
Yes.
Right? And so that comes from playing. Also, when you play and you want to play at a high level, everything has to be perfectly exacting. Right? I was such a stickler, I wouldn't use hammer-ons or pull-offs. I felt like it was cheating. I wanted to play every note value.
Wow.
Right? So I didn't slur anything, which is kind of, you know, a cheap way to do it. Kind of like a swing through.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Hoping it sticks.
Hammer-ons and pull-offs are really hiding your imperfections of accuracy, right? And most players live there.
That's cool.
Great players who are that the public love, in my mind, like a Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not his accuracy because he's not accurate. Or he doesn't play anything to note value, but he has a great groove, and that's what they feel. They feel that energy, so they assume that he's great.
Yeah.
Right. But if you put him against a really great player,
Yeah.
right, they would eat his lunch. Right. And
do you think, not to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but I'm very curious about this. Do you think that the best players are people that are names that people would recognize?
no, you would never. The very best players go unknown, except to the other great players.
Is it right? Yeah, that's what I noticed about talking to other musicians is like the people that they really respect are not the people out in the front and center.
No, only the people that are in it knows who they are, and the ones who are lesser are the ones that become popular.
Why do you think that is?
I think it takes an educated ear to really appreciate someone's accuracy and how good their timing is, and all of those things that are so hard to do. I don't think the public's ear really hears that. Right?
I also don't think that like produced music shows that.
Yeah. You know, today's music I hear a lot is really much lesser than it was even in the 70s. You know, 70s rock and roll is just the greatest rock and roll ever.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody could play and sing and write and compose. And now I listen to vocal tracks that are flat and guitars that are out of tune and out of time. There's no groove, and it's really slipped a lot, and because of standards. I think too, when I saw music taken out of schools, you know, as a class you could take,
Yeah.
I noticed that next generation wasn't as good,
Yes.
right? And stuff. But as far as music and shooting, most everything I do came from playing guitar. The way I teach came from playing guitar. The first thing you got to do on guitar, you got to learn your scales and your theory and your modes and all of that stuff, which is not playing a song, right? It's just learning the highways that you travel on,
Yes.
right? So that's your technique and being able to play those at very fast tempos, very accurately. That's the first step, right? And then you start to play music, right? And it's kind of very much the way I teach. I teach what I consider to be a optimal stroke,
Yeah.
right? And then we'll go learn how to break a score,
Yes.
right? But we can't break a score until we get a great move,
Yeah.
right? Those two don't live together,
Yes.
right?
Was your learning process on a guitar self-directed?
It was totally self-taught. When I come up, all we had was a cassette player, and we had 3 channels on TV, right? With PBS on Saturday nights, Austin City Limits would actually come on, and I'd put the cassette in front of that. I get to see it once, right, and hope it's something you want to learn, right? And you tape it. So I get to see it one time, and then I've got it on tape. That's it, right? And you had to learn that way. All my formal training was by ear. I can't read music. I never learned to read music. I did a lot of session work, and they'd put charts in front of me, and I would act like I could read, but I was totally playing by ear. I couldn't read the charts or any of that.
Cool.
And so, but I had the ability, if I could hear it, I can play it, right?
Do you think that was I mean, I feel like to do that.
I think if I came up today to where I could punch a button and I could get 10,000 teachers to show me how to play this,
Yeah.
all right, I could learn to play that,
Yeah.
right, quickly,
Yeah.
right? But I would never develop an ear to where I could play everything.
Yeah, and I think also that it would if the same you learned each separate way, independently and isolated, that if you played the same song, the one that wasn't able to press a button and listen to 10,000 people play it, I think that version of the song, where it had to be based off of how you heard it and how you felt it, I think it would have a lot more soul to it.
Well, if you think about this, think about magazines that come out. You would think with all that at the touch of a button available to a player today, that they would be so much greater than the players before.
Yeah.
But on the cover of all those magazines, Jimi Hendrix is still on the cover,
Yeah.
right? Chet Atkins is still on the cover, right? So nobody's really come along, and the reason why is they're all learning from the same source, so nobody stands out,
Yeah.
right? It's all cookie cutter.
I was not planning on doing this, but what you said really spurred my curiosity. And I know that your hand is like probably broken from the guy that ran into you. Would it be possible for you to, if I gave you my guitar, to show me a difference between like playing? I don't remember exactly how you explained it, but like with the exactingness of not cheating with like hammer-ons and pull-offs,
Yeah.
and then could you show the difference?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I could.
Can we try? And then if it's no good,
Yeah,
we can cut
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm actually this is more of my curiosity.
And let's see. right. So the change would be like if I slur the first one,
Yeah.
right, which I would never do early on in my career.
Slurring meaning like you're cheating
hammer-ons,
notes.
pull-offs.
This-
I would never do that. So actually, like in the intro of this Daryl Scott song, I would go, see. Okay, as opposed to. So
Whoa,
the slurring,
there's a huge difference.
yeah. So there's fewer notes, but it feels better, right? But it's not exactly.
Yeah.
Right. The actual way to play that correctly would be. That's actually correct.
Yeah.
All right. But and that's the way I would play things for a real note value. But if you want it to feel good, you see, it's much less notes, and I don't have to be near as good. So instead of going, I'm going.
It's like a 25% less notes.
That's right. And so playing exacting is so much harder, as opposed to. See, I can just kind of slop that out there.
Wow. So you really can hide a lack of precision.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so I would never do that. I would stay true to it, no matter how bad it sounded,
Yeah.
no matter how hard it was to do. I would never cheapen my playing by slurring. Now,
Very cool.
but now I do.
Yeah.
I don't see it the same way.
How do you see? Does it because of the way it sounds?
It's just I just let music be music,
Yeah.
right?
Cool, cool.
And I don't try to try to make it perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you
But
think
early
that-
on, I wanted it to be extremely staccato perfect. So instead of. Now, so that finger picking there is very, very accurate and no slurs at all.
Yeah. So. So then. God almighty, Bobby.
I got fried chicken all over me.
Okay, so my question is, when you're trying to tie this into feel, what style of playing do you feel in your body more than the other?
Well, I feel the sloppier one because it's got a better groove.
Yeah.
Right.
So is when you
That would be more according to shooting because it's more flow.
Yes.
It's more flow than being super accurate.
That's what I'm trying to tie it together to, because if it's like if you're playing it and you're kind of like letting some of it happen and you're going off of how it feels and connecting to your other senses,
Right.
your eyes and shooting, or your ears and music.
and see if I break that flow, it blares at me like a foghorn.
Yes.
As I'm moving to something, if it didn't start right or I'm out of time to it, it's so distracting. I'm probably not going to hit it.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that for me. That's the worst possible thing that could ever happen
Yeah.
in a shot is me get out of time.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
And
At that point, it's helter skelter.
Yeah.
And think about most people; they're never in time.
Yeah.
So every shot's like a bicycle wreck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do the two again back and do it a little longer? I want to
Yeah.
hear it.
If you notice when I play the song, I actually slur it the first time and then I play it right the second time.
like a dynamic
Yeah,
change.
so I change it.
Yeah.
Last night when I was playing it, I slurred the first one, but I would play exacting the second one.
Yeah.
And if you're not paying attention, you think I'm playing the same thing, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So like I would start the song. Now I'm gonna play it right.
Yeah, it makes it.
Now I'm gonna play it right. Now I'm gonna play it clean. So you see what I'm saying?
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm happy I asked you to do that. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's just the mindset that I had when I was playing. I wanted to be so good and so accurate. And you also have to think that my whole career depended upon that.
Yeah.
Right. And so I probably didn't play as good as I could have. Certainly with not as good a groove as I could have, because I wanted to be so perfect with it.
Yeah. Well, big surprise.
And now at this stage of my playing, I put the groove over being perfect.
But what's interesting is
but see, it's a different time. In my formative years, I needed the perfection.
I was just about to say that the interesting thing is the order at which you valued
right.
each thing.
That's exactly right.
Because I think a lot of people make the mistake of valuing the groove before the perfection.
That's exactly right.
Yes. And then if you do it where your focus is on the perfection regardless of the result the sound,
that's right.
Then when you hit the groove later on, it's so much better.
Yeah, it's so much better, and all of your fundamentals are in place.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a beautiful analogy.
Yeah, and so now you can keep your fundamentals true and still make it groove.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
When you're learning, you're going to be one or the other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think I need to hit the guitar technical aspect a little bit harder now.
Yeah. You need a little bit more cleanliness at first, right?
A little bit? I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah. You got to get a little bit more accurate.
Yeah. I've been swinging through a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So did we just tape that?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's set this over. I put that Splenda French vanilla in there. It's got a wild taste, but it's pretty good. Tastes like it in those little packets in the back of the drawer. Taste this. It tastes weird, but good. It's like a very expensive Starbucks cup of coffee that doesn't taste like coffee. Isn't that good?
French vanilla.
French vanilla, yeah. I had it made at 6. I had it made at 6 ounces, so it'd be stout. Never go over 8 ounces.
No. If you want to go over, just double up the 6.
That's it.
Yeah. Amen, son. Okay.
I'm not into colored water.
No. Okay, so basing everything off of that, with that analogy of the progression of learning and perfection and the pursuit of it, like obviously shooting and music are two sides of the same coin for you. And one sound, the other movement, and everything involved in shooting. Do you think that comes from one singular place within your core personality, or are there multiple influences throughout your life that have?
No, I think it comes from one place. I think it's just the way I'm naturally wired. You know, if I go fly fishing, I want to throw a great loop.
Yeah.
You know, if I go fishing, period, like, and I'm not even serious at it actually, but I want to fish good.
Yeah.
You know, it's just whatever I do. Actually, the enjoyment I get is not so much from the attainment, but from the effort trying to be good at perfecting the craft, whatever it is.
Yeah, the whole process.
Yeah, that's what actually brings me enjoyment.
Me too.
It's not the final end result. It's the process of perfecting something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I've definitely seen that in you, and that's why, kind of what we were talking about last night on the porch, where it's this game and your life and your career and your career in shooting, but also your career in teaching is a lifelong pursuit for you, not because of the fact that one is a job where you show up and tell people information that you've learned, and the other one is a way that you can test how well the information that you've learned is able to be applicable. But instead, it's actually an intellectual playground for you.
It is.
Allows you to explore your own curiosity and enjoy the whole process of testing the questions and testing yourself.
Yeah.
Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think to be really good at whatever your endeavor is, I think you got to have that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
I think you got to be that kind of person to truly achieve mastery.
Yeah. I want to.
So if you don't care how you break it,
Yeah.
you're not going to be very good.
Yes.
If all you care about is breaking
it. Yeah.
You're going to have a lot of holes in your game, and most likely you won't make it.
Yes. 100% agree with that statement.
It's like yesterday you and I shot quite a bit, and we really didn't drop hardly any targets at all. So we were talking about how we broke it, right? And like you would smoke a pair, or I'd smoke a pair, and I go, no, that's not right.
Yeah,
that's not good.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're just walking by, you see two big smoke balls hanging there, and you think, man, those guys are on it.
Yeah, they're
right?
rolling.
And like if you heard what we're saying, go, no, that wasn't good.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I've always been that way. That I just probably. I'm sure you did some Jedi mind tricks on me as a kid to make me be that way. But
So we were trying to see the ring right off the plate yesterday, and so we were experimenting with the eyes, where to start them on the plate, and if I could start them there or start them further out and stuff. And so we weren't even considering breaking the target.
No, it wasn't even about that.
Right, and like we broke all those.
Yes.
Right. But that we weren't thinking about that part. We weren't talking about that part. We were actually talking about some little minute detail that was happening right off the plate.
Yes.
Right. And killing the target was something we wasn't even thinking about or even talking about at all.
I think that's lost on a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if a guy walks in there and he shoots 3 pairs straight, and he got that.
Good to go. Let's move on.
Yeah. No, you don't.
No, you definitely don't.
You got it today.
Yeah, you definitely don't.
Yeah.
I want to ask you something that I don't think I have the ability to understand. I can relate to, but I don't have the ability to understand it. I've never been able to watch you play a guitar on a stage, but I do love music, and I've sought out being able to go watch a lot of
Great players.
Yeah,
world-class players.
Yeah, world-class players of all instruments. My least favorite thing to watch is a band.
Yeah, a big production.
Yes. My favorite thing to watch is one person and one instrument.
Yep.
And
in a small room.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very intimate. And some of the performances that I've seen have been, I don't know if I honestly have words for it. I saw this one, I don't even remember her name. I wish I did. I was probably 14 or 15 years old, and it was in a room of maybe 100 people, and it was some lady playing a Stradivarius violin. And in the one song, I can still see this so vividly in my head, in the one song that she played, throughout the progression of one song, she started off so peaceful and calm and almost emotionless. Yeah. And then the song changed. Yeah. And she was exuding happiness and joy, and then watching it, I was experiencing that too, empathetically, and the sound of it was that way. And then the song transitioned into like this melodic, almost I guess like retrospective filter of it was sad. And she started crying while she was playing. I mean, tears streaming down her face. And then again transitioned into nothing, very emotionless, in a good way, calm, like present, and then finished in very like joyous. And in real time, immediately as the music would change, so would she.
Yeah.
And that may be, of all the things I've ever watched in a performance of music, that I don't think I'm never going to forget that.
Right.
And there's clearly a synergy and a symbiotic relationship between the human and the instrument there. And it's one that is not, it's one that's not being forced, and it can't be forced. And I know that I can experience, and I have experienced that, not always, but sometimes in my game. But because I've only ever experienced it in one thing, I don't know if I really actually understand it. And I would imagine that you've probably done it in at least two things, and I'm wanting to know where that comes from, what it is, and is it manufacturable?
I just think it just kind of comes from the heart. You're just really joined up with what you hear and what you're playing, and as you play that, you feel the emotion of that, right? And I think that's where it comes from. I can't say that I've ever really had that kind of reaction, but I've been had in concert. You have a huge crowd, and they're into it, and they're singing every word back to you, and everybody's standing on their feet. And that's incredible magic.
Yeah.
And that feeling is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I've never had another feeling of anything that's like that. Because you got 30,000 people. They're all standing on their feet. They're singing every word of every song, and they're so into it. And that's just a magical feeling. So the feedback off of that's great. But that's not the same thing as you're talking about. That's me getting feedback off the crowd. Right.
Yes.
The
other one is internal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think that it's the same thing across different disciplines of mastery of skills?
Well,
is it a human thing, or is it a objective thing?
I just think it's somebody that's so into music that's the way they react to it. I just think it's so heartfelt. So it comes from their inner core that they react to what they're playing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they're really truly
for
feeling
me,
it.
I could never in public find that spot because I was always too aware to feel that deeply because of chasing just the pressure of the job. Like you walk out on the Opry stage, there's a camera this far from your right hand.
Yeah.
And at that time, 40 million people watched that show worldwide. So you got a camera filming everything you do 6 inches from your hand.
Yeah.
All right? The pressure of that doesn't allow me to go to that spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how does that correlate to our game, where being able to access that spot is, like, I would assume, truly the purest form of shooting? And how would you, I know how would you deal with, because we may not have cameras in front of us, but there's other things, and everybody talks about, the golf cart behind me or whatever. What kind of things can you do, or do you do, to be able to protect that very intimate part of...
I think, if you're playing as a pro, at whatever level that is, there's a lot of pressure. If you're doing studio work, you need to have this down in second take.
Yeah.
All right. If you don't, you're not going to get called back.
Yeah.
Right. So you lose that job.
Yeah.
So it's high stakes. It's fast. You got to be smart and quick. So I think the pressure of that makes it easier for me when I compete to handle pressure, because I grew up in it. I felt it my whole life. Mm-hmm. Actually, playing is way more pressure than shooting. Yeah, way more.
Oh, I would imagine.
Yeah. This is a step down or two.
Yeah, right? Or three or four.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that if you're in a shoot off for a world championship.
Yeah,
that's incredible pressure, and your mind starts to race, and you're getting scared, and all those emotions. I would say that's more intense than playing, right? But overall, playing would be more pressure, right? But in those scenarios for the worlds, and you're in a shoot off, and you got to kill this last pair, and all those pressure packed scenarios, that's pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like so before you answer this question for shooting, think about it strictly in music. Have you ever experienced like what maybe not being able to in one song go through all those emotions, but to connect that intimately with how you're feeling in real time and have it come through your instrument, whether that be a guitar or a gun? Right. Can you do that alone? Like in a room by yourself?
Are you talking about have that emotion that you're talking that
truly feel it come through you?
That's when I would do it.
Yeah, that's what I would assume.
That's when it comes.
Yes.
You know what's crazy? I've always been a player, right? And but the thing that moves me the most is the words.
Really?
Wow. When I listen to music, I listen to simple music. For years and years and years, I listened to very complex music.
Yeah.
Right. Fusion and classical and just the hardest of the hard stuff, but when I really play it to not learn but just to enjoy, it's the words.
So when you are playing a guitar without singing, or because that's different than listening to a song, do the inflections and the sounds and the notes and stuff, does that mean words?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've been singing songs before, and it was actually a song I wrote. And I get to this one line. I was playing for Jess not too long ago, 6 months ago, and I get to this line, I cry. Yeah. Right. I can't sing the line through without tears coming out. Yeah. And not that it was a great thing. It was just a sad thing. It was a
heartfelt thing.
Yeah, just a heartfelt thing. And but it's really the words, not so much the tracks. Yeah. That I really play more than anything else. Like my favorite stuff, and they're all horrible singers, but they're incredible writers. Mm-hmm. Like John Prine. I love John Prine. He just died. I mean, I just love the way he wrote. Yeah. Guy Clark just died. Just love the way he wrote. Terrible singer. But if you ask Vince Gill or Alison Krauss about those guys, I go, oh, that's
poet.
They're true poets.
Yeah.
Right. Lyle Lovett.
Yeah.
Another great storyteller. Tom T. Hall. That's from old school back in the 60s.
I was going to say, I don't recognize that name.
But Tom T. was that caliber of writer. And so I think even though what I did for money was lay the tracks down, but when I listen, it's actually for the lyric.
Yeah, there's that's interesting because there's actually been studies done to learn about how people listen to music, mm-hmm. and it's very subjugated between people who, when they listen, when I listen to music, I hear the words, but I hear them as sounds. Mm-hmm. Like a funny story, I wanted to play a song for Taylor. And have you ever, this is a pretty popular, mainstream song, but have you ever heard the song Wicked Game? Do you know that song? No. When you hear it, when I heard it, I'm like, I heard a cover of it. Yeah. And I was like, this is a beautiful song. Oh my God, I want to play this for her, because the emotion that I got from the sound was one that I wanted to share with her. So I learned it. The whole process of learning it, to sing and play, having to know the lyrics. Right. I never actually processed the lyrics. Right. And it's this song about this horrible devil of a woman that he just wanted. I played it to her, and then only after she was like, "Why would you play that for me?"
Well, you know what I found, because I watch how people hear music a lot, and I've watched that my whole life. Most people never hear lyrics.
Yeah.
right? You see every drunk girl at the bar singing every word she never knew.
Yeah.
Right, right. And we've all seen that. Most people feel the beat and the groove.
Yeah.
And they don't hear lyrics and they don't understand the meaning because they don't really get that deep into it.
Yeah.
But their brain stops at, okay, I hear the bass in the car going, boop, the things we all hear in the city. That's what most people hear, right? And every word that they sing, there'll be 3 words right, and the others they don't know.
Right.
Right. And so most people stop at groove.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what makes them feel good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's where the dopamine comes from.
Yeah. I had a question before you said that, and it threw me off.
So that person that only hears the groove is not going to be very good to analyze the shot if he was a shooter.
Yeah.
So that's the type of person we're talking about, and that just depends on how you're wired. I don't think you have to accept how you're wired.
No.
I think you can actually change that. So I don't think you are who you are. I think you are who you want to be.
Yeah, but only if you remove ego and focus on being self-aware.
Yeah.
And know what your shortcomings are.
Yeah.
Because actually, if you think about it, me being diagnosed with a very potent version of ADHD, if you were to psychologically profile me for how I should be when I shoot, it would be no pre-shot, no analyzation, go through as fast as you can, be hyper distracted.
Right.
And I'm one of the reasons why we all now have to obey this 20-second rule.
Right.
And so, but that's because of exactly what you were just saying.
Yeah.
So the question that I have is going back to the guitar and being able to experience that like emotional connection coming through an instrument. If you're, by yourself playing, relating that to shooting,
there's no emotional connection for me in shooting.
Well, it's a little bit different, but I'm glad you said that because I needed to clarify. In shooting where I'm trying to take this question is not necessarily like feeling an emotion during the shot,
right?
But instead feeling your body during the shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because
that's hypersensitive.
Yeah, when I play an instrument, you and I both being really empathetic people, and with what we do for a job, we're very much empathetically in tune with our student, the person in front of us, for the whole day. Well, what that does is it makes it very hard for you to feel yourself and pay attention to your emotion and how you're feeling physically. And that's why, you or I, at the end of a day of teaching, are going to be emotionally and physically exhausted. And we're not going to realize it until we get by ourselves.
That's right.
Which is why, for me, playing an instrument is so important because it pulls me back in to feel that.
Yeah, that's right.
My question would be then, in shooting, is there a difference for you in does competition compared to practice and training have different levels of attunement to the ability to feel what you're doing for you?
Yeah, in practice, I'll experiment more and I'll shoot freer and I'll go faster, right? And really what I'm doing is just keeping my act sharp. So in other words, I'm training faster, expecting more in practice than I'm going to use in a match.
Yeah.
Right? Where yours may be closer to being the same. Mine is not. I'm going to, in a match, I'm going to shoot a little bit more controlled, a little bit slower, what I consider to be a little bit smarter. I'm going to take fewer chances, but still be trustful, right? But I'm not going to hang it out there, right? Unless I have to.
Yeah.
And if I have to, I will.
Yeah.
Right. But I shoot more conservative. You are wide open, right? Like you shoot.
To a fault.
You're one of the only shooters I know that actually shoots his practice shot and his world champion shot the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in practice, I'll train at 100%, right? In a match, I'll bump that down to about 85%,
Yeah.
right? Speed-wise.
So, don't feel like you need to filter your answer to this question because it's about me. You don't have to be nice to me.
No.
Why do you think that is that I do that?
I think you'd rather see if you could pull this off than win.
I think you're right.
I think your whole brain gets captivated in this thing. Hey, if I see it there, I can shoot it 3 feet later, and like I want to do that, right? And that's kind of where you go, and that becomes more important to you than playing maybe what I'd say smarter, right, and not take those chances, right?
Yeah.
That I would see. I'm not going to take that chance. I'm going to try to win.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm not sure that approach is any better than gunslinging, because, that's a little bit more cautious, a little bit more tension, not really letting it rip. But I feel like it's a smarter play. It's kind of like if we were driving NASCAR, I can drive my car at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to have any gas and I'm not going to have any tires.
Right.
Right. I'd rather run 196 and still be there. On the last lap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think.
But I've seen it work for you so many times.
Yeah. But also cost.
But the thing is, you're totally comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
So it's not to you. It's not a chance.
Yeah.
Right. You don't feel like you're dancing on the fine wire.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like I'm gambling.
No.
But it a lot of times is unneeded. And I think...
Well, you've always, since a boy, you see stuff differently than I see.
Yeah.
Like you will shoot stuff differently than I shoot.
Yesterday was an example.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Although you were wrong.
I'll admit I was wrong. I was very wrong.
All right. But you've always done it.
Yeah.
You've always seen it that way.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I literally, since I was a little kid, I remember.
And that's just a lot of confidence and not, for me, I will assess the dangers. I'll steer clear of those as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that type of thing. That's why I think I do better too in long matches, that's got 3 days or 4 days.
Yeah.
I think I do better than those because eventually that smart play pays off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for me, actually, I feel the same way about a short versus long match for myself, but for a different reason. Because the shorter amount of time that I have, if it goes wrong, it's going to cost me bad.
Yeah.
And the more time that I have, I wouldn't be playing that game if statistically it wasn't going my way for the majority of the time. But I think really in so many things between you and I, probably the perfect game is a blend between the way you and I both approach.
Well, I think we said last night, I need to be a little bit more like you, and you need to be a little bit more like me.
Yeah. Which is probably why that the relationship that we had started when I was so young was so successful because basically it
complemented each other.
Very much so. Yeah. Now the only thing that it does is me drive you crazy.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I have to have therapy. I have to go to therapy a lot now.
Okay, so I've heard you say the phrase like you have to just totally surrender. What does that, like surrender to the shot or to the whatever it is at that moment? What does that mean to you, and how does that?
It's being totally confident and accepting in however this turns out, right? And you'll some days you just can't fight your way out of it. So you have to get peace and you have to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And you just have to let everything flow and not fight so much, not try so hard, not mad dog your way in. Right, mad dogging rarely works.
Yeah, mad dog.
Or for me, it doesn't.
Well, if you remember when I was younger, and if I needed I could mad dog other people.
Right.
You remember the
Yeah,
little?
yeah.
I think I won Pat
And
Lesky.
so
in
surrender
that
is just when I say that, it's just peace and be fully accepting of the result. And this is what I think too, in maybe a bigger thought. I believe whatever happens that day was supposed to happen.
Yeah, I think that once you come to peace with that, that it really frees you up to totally commit.
Yeah, on the first spot that we did, we were talking about if I hadn't stunk Florida up, I wouldn't have won the fourth Open.
Yes.
That's true, right? And so that's why I kind of say whatever happens was supposed to happen. There's a reason for that.
Yes, always.
Right. And I believe there's a law of attraction that's always at work.
Yes.
And I think when things go bad, it's just a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we need to clean this up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with you on that. Let's talk a little bit about your gun.
Okay.
So, of all people in the sport, both competitors and coaches, when it comes to however you would rank or grade somebody on how much they are in tune with feeling things that you can't see, hear, taste, whatever. You're way high on that. Yeah. And a good analogy that I like to use for you and your gun and me and my gun is like, so much of it goes to music, but it's not because I'm trying to force that. It just, a lot of it makes sense. And you have an amazing musician that has played the same instrument for so long, or this, and the battle wounds of everything that they've gone through are there to be seen only by them on that instrument.
That's right.
What to you gives your Perazzi or Perazzi's a true soul? What makes them feel alive? Why do you choose to shoot that gun?
Why do I shoot that brand?
Yeah.
It's the best gun built.
Yeah.
The old gun I've got that I'm not shooting right now, and I hope I don't have to go back to it. But I've been shooting that since 1999, and I don't know how many rounds it's got through it, but it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody could know.
Yeah, and the action feels the same as it did the first month I had it.
Yeah.
Right? It's beat up, it's worn out, but it still opens and closes, and still has that sharp click.
Yep.
All these years later.
Yeah, it locks like Fort Knox.
And I just learned the dynamics of that, and I shot that since '99. So, my body knows that. Now I'm shooting a new gun. The reason why is I lost a bunch of weight a few years back, and I've become so attached to that gun because of all the battles, all the victories, all the losses, all the blood, sweat, and tears, that I become attached to it. I mean, if the house was on fire, that's one of the things I'm going to grab out.
Yeah.
Right. For that reason, my guitars are the same way.
Yeah.
I don't really keep a guitar because it's the best guitar.
Yeah.
Right. It's the one that I bonded with.
Yeah.
Right. And I believe in.
Yeah.
Right. And so with that gun, I lost a bunch of weight. I went from 210 to 162, and because I'd won so much with it, I wouldn't change the stock after I lost that weight. And so I would ask you about it, and like you would give me some kind of hazy answer, like, yeah, it's messed up, but I ain't gonna say it's messed up. Right? And so I started seeing video of it, and I'm going, yeah, it doesn't fit anymore.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm onto this new one, but I hadn't bonded with it, and I don't believe it yet, even though I know it's better.
Yeah.
It's not in my heart yet.
Yeah.
Right. And the only thing that puts it there is
battles.
Is battles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think every great athlete or performer or anything like that, they do you know what I mean by if I say they would personify their tool or their instrument?
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
it is a living, breathing thing,
Yeah.
and you have an emotional connection and relationship with it.
Absolutely.
You know,
And it's not necessarily because it's better than everything else.
Yeah.
Right, to you. It's just the one that you've been to battle with.
yeah,
It's like my 68 Tele. I traded guitar after guitar after guitar. And it was always the guitar. Why I'm not playing like I want to? It's got to be the guitar. Right? So I see the 68 Tele that had been lost for years. It was inventoried in June of 1968. This is now 1984.
wow.
They
It was
find
it was in the box. that whole-
it was Hughley's Music Store, downtown Nashville. And in the back room is a big high ceiling thing, 40 feet high, cases stacked all the way up to the top. When that guitar come in, the jack was bad in it, so it's just a little piece of solder on
Yeah.
the wire. It was loose, brand new. And they put it back to be fixed. Well, somehow somebody stuck it in those stack of cases, and it was lost for 20-something years.
wow.
So the day they had found it, they put it out and hung it up. And when I'm walking by on the sidewalk, I see it. And when I see it from the sidewalk, I knew I was going to buy it. I could tell the profile of the neck; it was old.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and didn't even plug it up to an amp.
Really?
And I put my hands on it. I felt the wood vibrate.
Yep.
I go, "How much is this?" And he stuck me. And I took it and bought it. And I took it straight to Joe Glazier, who does all the work for all the greats. And I turned a Tele into a Stratocaster, put a 5-way switch in it, three pickups in it. And I never played another guitar, never shot for another guitar.
Really?
All those years, my whole career, I never went into a store and tried any other guitar out.
Wow.
And I played my entire professional career after that. Up until then, I was trading every 6 months, or maybe even more than that. Once that one came, it was it.
That is cool.
And to this day, I've never bought another one.
Wow.
And so my guns are kind of the same way,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. So you said you picked it up, and the vibration of the wood and the neck, you could tell it was old.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely the same type of thing happens when you pick up a gun.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's old or not is not necessarily,
No.
but
It's that one you pick up and it feels like you thought it should.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to make sense.
No.
So tell the story about your stock on your old gun.
Well,
You
the
seem
first
to have a
Perazzi I
pattern.
had, I actually bought. And I bought it, and nobody helped me spec it. I didn't know you could spec it. I didn't know that they built actually custom guns and orders. So I ordered the gun, and I went to it. I'm not going to say who this is, but I went to a stock fitter, and I thought, man, I'm going to get a P gun, and I'm going to have it done right. I'm going to have him draw up my stock. And I got a 32-inch choke tube barrel. I didn't know you could spec barrel weights. All right.
How long
and
ago was this?
This was 99.
Okay.
And so it come in, and I hated it. Everything about it.
Yeah.
Everything I spec was wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't know enough about it. Right? My barrels were too heavy. The choke tubes made it worse. Stock was horrible. Right? And like every shot would kick me in the teeth, to the point I just quit shooting it. And I went and shot a 390 for about a year.
Yeah.
Right? Then I was at a store one day, and I see this box that said "not for sale" on it. I open it up, it's the ugliest piece of orange crate wood you've ever seen, and it has no pad on it. But I pick it up, and I kind of shoulder it, and I go, "That's better than what I've got." And I asked Jeff, I said, "Jeff, how much is this?" He said, "Just take that with you." So I take it home, and I put a pad on myself, and I shot that my whole career.
Yeah.
And after that, they had just started to build 34-inch guns. While I was shooting the autoloader, the sighting plane's longer.
Yes.
Which I liked a lot better than the short 32 over and unders.
Yep.
And so that's where the 34 came from. Right? And so out of the first gun I bought, the only thing I had left was a 4-in and an action. That's the only parts that was left. So I found the stock in a box. I got a spare barrel ordered in, and it just happened to click on. I didn't have to fit it.
Yeah.
And that's what I shot my turkey with. So it was just kind of a piece together thing.
Yeah. When you go to the factory over there, you can kind of get a sense for why there is definite. I mean, okay, let me not put words in your mouth. Would you agree with me that there's something different about when you actually don't even have to get to the point of holding it, but when you're looking at the gun that came out of the Perazzi factory, it's different than any other company.
It is. You know, I think I heard, and I think this is accurate. It cost us more money to build a gun than any other company.
That is accurate. Yeah.
So it
accurate within the realm of like $100,000.
Right.
That's different.
Right. But just in a basic target gun, we spend more money to build a gun than I think any other company.
For competitive guns. Yeah.
Right. It's just an awesome gun, and to really capitalize on that, though, you really need somebody. If you're new or you want one, you really got to get somebody to help you spec it.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're just going to build it however you tell them to build it.
Yeah.
And
Which
if you
is
don't
the
tell them
unique
right,
thing
it ain't going to be right.
Exactly right. Yeah. And that's where I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about it, is that, one of the things, at least to me, that make it so uniquely different, and actually truly every one that comes out of those doors,
they're all a little different.
They're unique individual, works of art that were all put together in every single piece by a human hands.
Yeah.
And because of that, you can actually see. You can see
it. You can feel it.
You can.
There's a lot of gun companies try to copy, the P guns. I'm not going to go through the names, but we all know who they are. Mm-hmm. They're trying to build a boss action gun, right? Mm-hmm. But none of them feel like the real thing.
Yeah.
And none of them are really close. So if you're a guy like me who bonds with the stuff that he uses, right? You better bond to something with some quality to it, right?
Yeah, and some individuality.
Yeah.
It seems like you have a pattern of being attracted to long lost, abandoned things.
Yeah, pretty much like my, my '68 Tele, my Martin's is a 1937 D28.
Man.
Yeah. And it took
it's a real one?
Yeah. And,
wow.
And it took me a long time to get that,
I would
trade
imagine.
up.
Yeah.
And I do like those type of things.
Yeah. Well, they do have a character and a soul to them.
They do.
You have shot the same gun for 25 years.
Yeah.
Tell me what you like more about the new one.
Stock fits better.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little prettier.
Yeah.
Right.
That wouldn't be hard. I hate to say it.
I actually on purpose made the barrels, and I don't know how much heavier, but just a little bit heavier, and it has more stability. Mm-hmm. Like if I just flop it up there and don't really control it good, it stays stable, so it doesn't lope. Mm-hmm. So those are the main things I like about it.
Do you like the different sighting? Not that you're aiming, but the way that the difference in the width of the rib frames a shot up just more proprioceptively. Have you noticed?
I think I do like it better.
Yeah.
I go back and forth. When I first shot yours, I go, man, that's the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Then mine comes in, and I'm going back and forth between my old one and the new one, and I'm going, I don't think it matters, right? But then I go back to the new one, and I'm going, it's better. Right.
It makes it, to me, the
I
difference.
think I like it better.
Yeah. I like the for those of you who don't know what we're talking about the difference between
a tapered rib.
Yeah, a tapered rib. It starts at 11 millimeters at the receiver and finishes at 7 at the end of the barrel versus one that's just 7 all the way through. Yeah. To me, the
lines are straighter.
Straighter lines. It feels like the whole thing itself is smaller, so then therefore to me it's like less visually attractive.
Yeah.
And it just feels more precise and accurate.
Yeah.
What does a gun and the way that it's built and the way that it moves and the way that it it bonds to you, the way that you would say it. What does that do, and how does that affect and influence your ability to master what it is that you're trying to do with your body?
It's just something. It's when all of that's correct, you don't have to think about it no more. So it allows your mind to be on more important things.
So when you're trying to spec out a gun for yourself, what is it that you're trying to accomplish?
A really good fit. I fight this thing. Like I like a lot of drop at the hill, but as soon as I start to shoot up, it slides out.
Yeah.
But down low, it's more forgiving because I'm up on top more. Mm-hmm. So everything in it is a compromise. And I shot the same gun for so long. There was an opinion that I started to get is that the gun doesn't matter. Yeah. Right. You just get a good gun and learn to shoot it. But now that I've been swapping guns, stocks actually. Guns, it does matter. Yeah. And more than I thought. And there is a formula for every shooter. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anybody can tell you what that is. I think you got to figure that out.
Yeah, the only way to figure that out is you have to pay attention to how you're moving and how it points, how it feels.
Absolutely. And, the wood has the most dramatic effect of it. I can spec steel lighter or heavier for barrel weights and stuff, but nothing changes it like the weight of the wood.
Yeah. That's when I spec.
I don't know how they know what's going to weigh what. Yeah. Right? But I'm sure the wood guys can at least get in the ballpark, say this grain and this wood is going to be lighter than this wood. Yeah. I'm sure they know that, but I don't really know how they know it.
Yeah. I mean, think about it like going, not to pull it back again, but to talk about an instrument and the like harmonic resonance of the wood and how it changes over time. The same thing, people don't realize this, but if you're trying to purpose build a gun for performance and not to be, something to look at and awe over, the wood that you choose massively influences how you feel, the recoil, how much control that you have, the energy that it retains in your hands as you pull the trigger.
Well, you know what's crazy? When Joe Glazer builds guitars, and I've been to his shop a lot, and like you can punch this guy up. He's the guru. Yeah. He's built guitars for Jerry Reed and Steve Wariner, and I mean all the Keith Urban, the best of the best. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's not a better builder than Joe Glazer. And I was at a shop one day, and he was building Tellies, and and I pick up one, and it's beautiful, but it doesn't sound good. Yeah. And it's just there's no vibration. Yeah. And he goes, it's black magic, man. He goes, you see that log? He said, I sawed all these bodies out of that same log. I painted them exactly the same layers, dried them exactly the same time, exactly the same wiring, exactly everything, and there's always one way better than the other. Wow. And the saw cuts are coming side by side. Yeah. But one will be better than the other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 100% true. Yeah. If you don't know what I mean by this question, I can rephrase it. Do you think that we shape our equipment or that it shapes us?
I think when you're starting out, I think it shapes you a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then the better and more knowledgeable you get and the more you know what you want, then you shape it.
And how important is it, do you think, that, because I would agree with that statement. I'm throwing a lot of trick questions that you've successfully navigated.
I have. I've been doing pretty good.
Yeah. So how important do you think that it is for, in the beginning, when your equipment can shape you, that you very purposefully select the equipment?
I don't think it's very important.
It's not important?
Maybe not as important as most people think, because at that point in time, you don't know what you want.
Well,
and maybe your skill level is not that great, and then as you evolve and you get better and your technique's better and you know more what you want, then you're able to shape it into the right gun for you. But you got to remember you started on an auto with 28-inch barrels.
Yeah, I don't think I.
You still got that gun?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then your sister learned on it.
Yep. Yeah.
And you have one choke, and that choke was in the gun.
Yeah, that has been metallurgically fused to the barrel.
Yeah. And I believe it was mod. I think that's all you had was mod.
Yeah.
And then later on you splurged and you got your 2 chokes and you had a full in the mod.
Yeah. Do you know why I chose mod?
Why?
Because I liked blue.
That sounds about right. Yeah. So you had no choke tubes.
Yeah.
The only choke you had was in the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Basic, bare bones equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we never said a word about it. And it was fine.
So I would agree with you on that. I didn't ask the question well. What I mean is equipment that can influence the way that you're learning to move the body incorrectly. If you're
Absolutely.
And I don't want you to agree with me if you disagree, because actually out of my own curiosity I'm asking this question, like not just through the filter of a young kid having a gun that's too heavy and too big for them and stuff like that, because that's an obvious answer, you know, but like talk about like the distribution of weight and the balance of the gun. If you're trying to learn to master the finesse and the movement of your body when you're starting out, if it's wrong, and then it therefore forces you to learn to put different inputs of torque or stuff, is that something that you think is easy to then undo when you change, or no?
It probably wouldn't be easy, you know, but I've seen that from time to time. You know, somebody just get an ill-fitted gun or something and they learn to shoot it, right? And then that becomes part of their style, right? And then they have to change that. I've seen that a few times, you know, and I'm not saying don't shoot a gun that doesn't fit. I'm just saying there's not a magical set of numbers.
No.
In the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe not even at the end.
I would actually agree that there's probably not a magical set of numbers even at the end. I think the statement that you said holds true, which is that there's like always a fine balance and a give and take where, you know,
there's no gun asked to do so many jobs as what a sporting gun has to do.
I know.
Right? And it has to be able to do everything.
Everything. Yeah.
So there's going to be compromises here and there.
Yeah. And
right? It's got to go quick. It's got to be stable and, you know, to where you're accurate on your long stuff. It's got to be good at trap stuff, right? It's got to be good at skeet stuff, type shots, and everything in between.
Yeah.
So like, you know, like a high rib gun is great at trap shots and teal shots.
Yeah.
You can just eat that up, but it's not so good when you're having to as a second shot of a pair and your second shot's out there at 45 yards and it's about 3 foot off the ground and you got to dig that thing out.
Yeah.
It's not so good for that.
No.
And so I don't think there's any other gun asked to do so many jobs.
Yes, I would agree.
A skeet gun is just a skeet gun, and all it's got to do is shoot at 10, 12 feet up.
Yeah.
Right? All the shots.
Yeah.
Trap shots, not much asked of them.
Yeah.
Right? Sporting guns.
Everything, not just in angles, but in distance at varying degrees of precision.
That's it.
You know?
Yeah. So it's a tall order.
Yeah, I think that the numbers specifically, when you want to refine it down to the actual ones that you're going to use on a stock, it's actually a matter of a stylistic choice of what you're wanting to capitalize off of. You know.
Well, like I know you just fitted your last stock to a certain posture you use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? A certain posture that I wanted.
Right.
You know, right. I mean, it wasn't.
But there was no way you would have known that the first 5 years.
Right. Yeah. There's a zero possibility I would know that. Yeah. You have to go to somebody that knows those things and actually is willing not to overpower you, I believe.
I check gun fit when I start somebody a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't spend much time on it.
Yeah.
Until our posture, our move, our techniques are correct. As long as it's in the ballpark, you know, in the beginning, that's good.
Yeah, it's not possible to find perfect then because they're not consistent.
No.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, fitting a gun to somebody early on is a hopeless cause.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. I think a lot of people Actually, go get custom stocks built way too early.
Way too early. Yeah. Way too early.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is a great example of how possibly if you do that very early, that you can actually force yourself into deeply seeding in specific postures and movements and things if you did it wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think, at least. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you look at your shotgun as a tool or something more than that?
Something more than that.
Yeah. What is it to you above that?
It's my saber. It's my sword. It's what feeds my family.
Mm-hmm.
It takes care of me.
Yeah.
Right. It feeds my bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so it's not just a gun.
Yes.
Right. It is a tool, but it means much more to me than that. Right?
Yeah.
To me, when I say tool, it's a hammer.
Yes.
I don't care about a hammer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But my gun, that's what feeds my family. That's
Mm-hmm.
what makes the money. That's what keeps me alive.
Mm-hmm.
So you're automatically going to view that a little different.
Yes.
Right. It's like the guitar that you take out to play. That's what's feeding your family.
Yeah.
So it's not just a guitar, right? It's that's your sword. That keeps you alive. So you view that maybe from a different eye.
Yeah.
You know? And I bond with them, and they mean something to me.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, because it has a history. That we share.
It does. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Speaking of history, we have a pretty long history.
Yeah. That was a good segue.
Yeah, you like
Right?
that?
Yeah. I like that.
What would you say was built that is a key important thing between two people, a mentor and a student, that is a requirement for that mentor to bring that student to become a peer?
It's got to be the right matchup. You know, you and I are yin and yang.
Yeah.
Right, but we complement each other. What I don't have, you have. What you don't have, I have.
Yeah.
Right. So it's always worked that way. You know, you have to remember too. With you were kind of conditioned from when Tony Monzingo introduced me to you. You were being conditioned right there to join the ranks.
Yeah.
Right, and you were this tall.
Yeah.
Right, but it seems like the people around you was always conditioning you to this spot you're at.
Yeah.
Right. And then I met you in Houston. I forgot about this. Do you remember the same shoot?
The 5-stand?
I've got the picture.
Yeah.
Right. So it's me, you, and Anthony in the picture.
Yeah.
Right. You shoot off against somebody. You win. I shoot off against Anthony. I win.
Yeah.
Then that was that same shoot.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So we did you know the winning photograph together. So it's already starting at that point, right?
I think I was 9 years old.
You were 9 when I started teaching you.
So I must have been.
So I think it was that same year.
Yeah. Wow.
And so because that would have had to been in April.
Yeah.
And then in the fall, I run into you again in Indiana on a parkour, and we shoot together, right? And then shortly after that, you actually were going to go to Anthony, and Anthony goes, "It's a long way. Cherry's in your backyard to go to him."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that fall we started. And I gave you some instruction there, and then we just started shooting together for some reason.
Yeah.
And
I don't even know how that happened.
I really don't know either. But for years, my whole squad was kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was.
It was. Yeah.
It was me and a bunch of 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we won everything.
Yeah.
For years. I mean, a long run you know, like you would win juniors, and Ashley would win ladies, and I would sometimes win the open, and that went on it for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. Through that, though, you know, we just bonded. I think seeing each other in battle and doing battle with each other every week, you just bond together and you become better friends and closer, and you know each other better. Like, you probably know me better than anybody.
Yeah.
Right. And it's from what you saw me do back then.
Yeah.
Right. You know all my tendencies, what I'm going to do, what I'm not going to do. Right. And the same with you.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and then having all that success, right, that was another bonding thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think for a coach and a student to really get to that point, all those things have to align, which they rarely do.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, I can't say it's really happened with anybody else.
Yeah.
Today we don't shoot together as much, and I'm talking about just people in general. Really. Right.
Yeah.
You're super squatted or whatever, you know, and all that. But back in the day, we shot everything together.
Yeah.
I remember the first Open you won. You gave me all the credit and tried to hand me the trophy.
Yeah.
I've got that picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first HOA US Open.
Yeah. So you know, and so we've been through a lot of victories, mostly victories, right? Some failures, and it's just been a bonding experience, and you watch each other grow and become successful, and you know, if you really think about all the things that happen in there, that would be hours to talk about. But you know, for you, Champs Camp and all the stuff that you kind of had a part to play in, and all those years in there, right?
Yeah, I think I forgot about the US Open thing. I keep giving you all my trophies. I'm gonna have to come get them soon.
Well, I've got a World Cup trophy of yours sitting in my gun room, and I've got a U.S. Open trophy of yours.
Yeah.
Sitting there, and a U.S. Open.
What World Cup?
I don't know. You won the World Cup.
I just gave you the trophy.
Somehow I've got the trophy.
Oh man.
Yeah. I could have won the World Cup one time. All I had to do was show up, and I didn't go.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yes. Yeah.
And actually, that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were the only one that would have had all of it.
Yeah. And all I had to do is show up and maybe place top 30, and I would have won.
Yeah. I think actually all you had to do was show up and shoot a target.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and I didn't go.
That was smart.
Yeah, that was another good decision.
Yeah, there was another one. So do you think that for that type of thing to happen and to progress to, you know, taking you and I out of the personal equation, but for that type of result to come through, do you think there's an unquantifiable thing that you can't force, that it's kind of a little bit up to nature and luck? And
it is.
Yeah,
I don't think there's no way you could organize that to happen.
No, there's no way.
No, and you know, and the thing about it is, you know, I don't know if I've seen anybody, you know, where the teacher's winning, the student's winning, and we do this all the time for a long time.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that really happen before or since.
No.
Right? You know, Anthony and Corey won under Dan, but Dan wasn't really that active shooting.
Right.
So it's not the same dynamic.
Right.
Where you and I were actually, if you think about it, our time in the sport's pretty close.
Yeah.
Right? We were actually both starting kind of in the same era.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like I'd been years ahead of you at that time.
Right. Yeah.
I was just older.
I really wish, if there's another thing that I wish I could do, I wish I could, I was so young when I was learning from you that I don't have the vivid, I can't vividly recall like the transcript, so to speak, of our lessons and things like that.
I remember all of it.
Do you?
Yeah.
It would be, that's why I'm really excited that I found those old tapes, because don't you think it would be cool to
Yeah.
like go back in time and even for yourself to?
So do you remember at Quail Ridge, us standing on the make or break behind the clubhouse?
Yes. Yeah.
Where they had the high tower skied over on the right? You remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, and there's a big chandelle left to right. Do you remember us shooting that?
Yeah, I remember.
You
So
remember
what
that?
I remember, I remember.
It was target 6.
I don't remember what target it
I
was.
remember the target number.
Really? Yeah, I don't. I vividly remember visually so much of it.
Yeah.
And I remember the things that I really remember a lot are like when I would turn around and like things that you would say to me.
Yeah.
But it would be really fun for me, and probably for you too, to.
I would love to see some of that again.
Yeah, I would love to.
Do you remember your last station at your first open?
Yeah.
Right. So, and like that trap is spraying targets all over hell.
Yeah, it was all over the place.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And I was nervous as could be for you, because you didn't really know you were about to win it.
No, I had no idea.
Right. And and you go, I could tell something was up, and I was starting to get nervous, and then I heard my safety clicking.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And
Which,
he
if
said,
your safety starts clicking for somebody else, you
That's
know,
right.
like, oh.
That's right. And he goes, then I felt good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you said. But back then I would click my safety incessantly. Mm-hmm. Right. Just a nervous habit.
A few stations before that station, I
started to shoot a pair backwards.
Yeah.
And I go, do you want me to shoot it the other way just so you can see it?
Yeah.
I'm going, this is not the time to invent anything. Let's just put 8 down and let's go on.
but I like inventing things.
Yeah. You started to shoot it the other way.
Mm-hmm. That was the first and only time I'd ever heard you offer to do something like that.
Yeah.
Because there was like an unspoken rule between us. You would not coach me during a round.
No, nobody would coach anybody. Nobody
Yeah.
would call a shot.
None of that.
If you went down, you just went down.
You're gonna go down. And
ain't nobody pulling you up today.
which is, I think, I am so happy that was the case.
Yeah.
Because you were and I hope everybody listening to this doesn't take this in the wrong way, because this quite possibly is the best compliment that I can give somebody that's a coach, and I do, because of my respect for it, I do the same thing. You were the type of coach that if it was that moment again, and I didn't make the choice myself to just do it the way that you asked me to do, and I did it the wrong way, you would have let me do that, and it would have cost me a U.S. Open at the age of 16, and
15.
I think it was. I don't even know.
No, you were 15.
I was 15. Oh wow. Well.
Yeah.
The,
That's pretty young, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think that, like
But I never saved any of you.
no, and
I could
you
have.
can't. Yeah, and you can't. You shouldn't.
But it would be bad coaching.
Bad coaching, horrible, because you're not letting that person learn and grow and
That's
be
right.
autonomous.
That's right.
And there are so many life lessons.
I mean, the
and-
truth is, none of you really needed saving very often.
Right.
But we never did. And the same for me. I would never turn around. If I got in trouble and I've got a bad read going, I'm fixing to miss all 4 of them.
Yeah.
Nobody say a word.
Yeah.
Right? You either swam or you sunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I like that.
And I feel like that's the best way to do it. I think long term you build a much better shooter by doing that.
100%. Yeah. If you protect somebody from failure like that, they don't learn, they don't grow.
No.
They can't. And then the second they have to do it on their own,
Yep.
they can't.
That's right.
Yeah. Basically.
Well, so now there's a no coaching rule. I see there's a lot of people don't pay any attention to that,
Yeah.
but in England, that's a big no. You can't coach there. I don't think we should coach here.
I don't think so.
I think
There's really no value to it, and
well, it's just unfair. If you've got some kid out there shooting and he's just got mom and dad and they're not coaches, and then you got another kid that's over here shooting with a coach that's coaching through every station, so it's not a fair competition.
no, and that kid is not learning anything.
No.
What do you think that we taught each other?
I don't know what I've taught you, really. What I've learned from you is when I shoot with you, it relaxes me.
Yeah.
It's good for me.
Yeah.
Because your nonchalantness kind of offsets my hyper intensity, right? And so when you're around, from you, what I'll learn is how to kind of take it in stride, don't stress it, kind of keep your peace,
Yeah.
right? It's a calming effect. That's the main thing that I pick up off of you when we're together or in the times we've shot together. It's just a very calming thing, and it shows me how much I overplay sometimes or overreact, you know, and I'll turn around and ask you about it, and like you're just there screwing off.
Or in a tree.
Right. I remember when you won the Open, and you just won it, and you and your sister is out in the parking lot, and you're throwing rocks at a tree, and a buddy of mine, he just passed away. He said, you see that kid throwing rocks at that tree over there? He's a U.S. Open champion.
I think the night before I was playing hacky sack in the parking lot. Yeah, it's cool because it really is a good yin.
So you think about how much easier that mindset is.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Than your last Open.
Yeah, well, that's what
you can't even compare those.
I can't compare them.
This one is so ignorant and innocent.
Yeah.
Right, and knows nothing, don't suspect anything, so there's no problems.
No.
Right?
No.
Now compare that to the last Open you won.
Yeah.
Right?
Complete difference. The first
totally
one
different. The last one's got way more stress, way more knowledge.
Yeah.
Way more at stake.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I didn't even know.
The first one, like you didn't even know you were going to win it.
No, I admittedly will say that like I wasn't good enough to win a U.S. Open then because I didn't possess.
You shot 194.
I think no, because I remember at the time you had the record for the highest U.S. Open score
at 193.
193, and I was 192, I think.
No, you beat me.
No, I know I did.
Yeah, you did. You shot 194. Then Anthony beat that a few years later.
No, Anthony tied my 2016.
Okay,
because we both had 197.
Okay, so I remember you turn around and you run the last station. And I go, you just won the U.S. Open. You go, no. And I go, David, I'm holding the highest score shot at the U.S. Open on 193. You just shot 194.
Oh, so that's how you knew.
That's how I knew.
Yeah.
That's why.
Maybe I did shoot 194.
You did. Yep. I remember.
Yeah.
And at that time, that was a monster number.
Oh, yeah. The scores were lower back then.
Yeah. I remember all those targets. I remember that big Batu on the right side of the hill under you.
Yeah.
You know, I remember all those targets.
Yeah.
The overheads off the tower.
Yeah. That one station, there was that bit, what was it? I think it was a black right to left Batu. And the other bird, wasn't it an overhead tower?
Yeah.
A right to left Batu. That was such a cool station.
Yeah. I love that terrain up there.
Oh my God, that club is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, we're being nostalgic. We need to get back to work. Do you think that there's a thing that we learned together, like at the same time?
You know, there was a time that we kind of, we talked a lot, and we kind of depended on each other a little bit. I thought.
Yeah.
And I think it was just handling pressure.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing.
I mean, we never really talked about how to shoot.
No.
It was really, we were talking more, handling the pressure and those scenarios that we were in. That's mainly what we talked about.
Yeah, because, I mean, shooting is.
I think we helped each other though, although we didn't help each other on the course.
Yeah.
But I think just being together, and shooting similar and kind of evolving and learning at the same time. Like I said, our time frames are about the same.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just a few years ahead of you, not many.
Yeah, it's weird to think about because of my age, but I was just so young when I started.
Yeah.
That it has been a long. I think this is my 25th year.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to. I didn't want to be too narcissistic and talk about myself the whole time.
That's
so
all right. Go ahead.
the-
I'm used to it.
I wanted to basically set that as a footing to pull into your philosophy of teaching. If you had to explain the way that you teach in one sentence, what would it be? Take as much time as you need.
I believe that there's certain rules of physics that has to be adhered to,
Yeah.
right? And I can prove this.
Yeah.
And now we've had science the last couple of years that can also prove it. I've said it for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now other guys have come through. They kind of give data to saying, yeah, you're right. I believe there's a certain set of dynamic physics that has to be adhered to, and I strictly follow those.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in anything other than that. And I can kind of prove that, and I can tell you the cause and effect of everything you're going to do.
Yeah.
Right. And if you truly know that and you believe it, you're only going to teach one thing.
Yeah. One of the things that I've found to be a really cool journey of discovery for myself, as I have evolved into a role of a teacher as well in this game, is that going back to the yin and yang between the two of us, you're everything. I think you know what I mean by this, because it's not really an all-encompassing statement, but would you say it would be fair to say that, like, the way that you communicate a lot it's all about feel and touch and stuff like that, and that's how you make sense of it.
I'm a musician.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for me, I'll go into rabbit holes and wormholes of neurology and psychology and physiology and stuff like that. And what has been so cool to me is, because I was so young and just a kid, I absorbed everything that I was taught from you in a way that just so quickly became non-conscious.
Right.
That I never, as I got older, it was so deeply seated that I didn't really have a conscious explanation for it.
Right.
And so in my own journey of trying to learn how to teach, I went in the direction of things that made sense to me, the way that I think about things and intellectualize things, and that was, through that kind of stuff. And I don't think that you'll take this as in the wrong way, but all of the stuff that that I was looking into to make sense of things, I know that you didn't, because it wasn't around when you came up with what you came up with. And what I found that was so cool was every little thing, every little, you and I are very similar in the sense that we both have to ask why for everything. And if it doesn't have an answer, we don't like it.
Right.
And so, every little thing, of how I move or why I do this or why I do that, be like, okay, well, why do I do that? Is that the best way to do it? I don't know. Let me find out. So I would research and then be like, well, I'll be damned. Wendell's right about this. Yeah. I'll be damned. Wendell's right about that. I'll be damned. And what's really so cool and so amazing, and quite possibly the most amazing thing and the biggest possible compliment that anybody could give you about what you've developed as in terms of your impact to the game, is the fact that everything, like, I can sit here and we could have anybody else, this is a very big statement to say, I will have anybody else on an interview that teaches a different style sit and have a fair, logical debate about mechanics and shooting and approaches to the game, and I know that I can prove them wrong through objective fact. Through scientific evidence, not through experiential evidence or anything. Or that's not even really evidence, because I've done the research to understand all of those things. And science and math and geometry is objective.
Yep.
You figured that all out because you paid attention to how it feels. And that is absolutely mind-blowingly, amazingly impressive to me.
Yeah, I knew this before I could prove it.
Yeah.
And we've only had the data, the scientific data, the last, 4 or 5 years maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. Some of it isn't even that.
Some
Some of it is in the still.
Yeah,
in the,
30 years ago I knew this.
Yeah.
Couldn't prove it. And I, you know, we took a lot of heat off of that. I get
oh
phone
my
calls.
gosh, me too.
Yeah. And I remember, I'm not going to name names, but a guy called me who I respect a lot. He goes, "What the hell are you doing? What are you teaching?"
Mm-hmm.
I go, "This is what I believe.
Yeah.
And I'm going to live or die by it." And turned out it was right.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we both took a lot of heat.
Yes. As a kid, it was a little isolating, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Both from other competitors and the industry.
Yeah. I remember you got a gun offer, but part of the offer was you would have to leave me and go somewhere else.
Yeah. Or at least say, no, it was even worse than that. Actually, it was that I had to state that somebody else was the person that taught me.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Why that's so weird that it's so, you know.
I remember a lot too. I remember, you know, there'd be, and I even had a guy come up and say, because you're standing here by yourself saying this, and there's 30 or 40 of these guys standing up here saying you're all crazy.
Yeah.
And I go,
Yeah.
yep, that's what they say.
That's what generally happens when somebody has a revolutionary idea.
Yeah. But I'm probably most proud of anything I've done. It's not the winning.
Yeah.
It's being able to figure that out.
Yeah.
And I only did that because I needed to, so I could stay in the business,
Yeah.
right? So I could pay my bills.
Yeah. Yeah. You.
And that is the biggest compliment.
Yeah.
that
I can't think
you
of a
don't
better
have to
one.
get.
I really. I mean, if I sat here and tried to think, what would be the best thing that I could say to compliment you and what you've done? That to me, and at least coming through me and the filter of the way that my brain works and how I think, that's just so amazing to me.
Well, just like I said, I've tried to shoot holes in it many times, and I just never do.
Well, and the thing about it would be, if you found a hole that you could shoot in it, then you would adapt.
Yeah,
You know?
that's right. If I find something better, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Why would you hold to something that isn't? That doesn't make much sense.
Right. But a lot of people do.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah. 100% true. You know, at least in my opinion, you don't just teach people how to shoot. You kind of try to sculpt and mold how they think. Could you identify if there is a specific thing that you are trying to create in a student, or is it independent for each individual?
It's just judgmental. I just look at somebody and I'm going, your train of thought, where you live psychologically, is not going to be successful at this unless we change it.
Yeah.
I don't say that.
Yeah.
Right. And so from that day on, the moment I make that decision, I start trying to rewire it little by little. You know, just start planting seeds. That's all I did with you.
Yeah.
You know, just start planting seeds, and I try to turn them in to who I think they should be to get what they want.
Yes. What do you think is the biggest mistake that people make when trying to learn something new?
Probably the biggest thing is they try it for 10 shots and they go, I'm going back. And so they can't weather the change, right?
Yes.
You know, anytime you change, it's going to be hard. And when you're retraining, it's super hard. And you're going to have a lot of failure. And most people don't survive that failure, so they just go back and they hang on to their 80 that they shoot.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think that some people are just not capable of greatness, or is everyone and most people just never tap into it?
I think most people are certainly capable of more than they think they are.
Yeah.
Right? A few is capable of greatness.
Yeah, and a few are capable of much less.
That's right. That's right.
And they think they
that's
are.
right. But most are capable more than they give.
Yeah.
And I think it's just lack of desire, not talent, but lack of want to that keeps them from achieving it.
How important do you think talent is?
I've known a lot of talented shooters that just fall off the face of the earth and never see them again.
Yeah.
I can name a bunch.
Yeah.
That looked like they were, when they were kids, they looked like world beaters, right? Talent's great if you've got a lot of desire with it. Often I don't see that come as payers, though.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And talent's not that important.
Yeah.
I'm not terribly talented.
Yeah.
I don't think, and I've heard other great shooters that I think are great. Anthony being one, he'll say, I'm not very talented.
Yeah.
Right? But he is.
Yeah.
And we all are. We just view ourselves that way.
Yeah. We have to.
Right.
It goes back into the self-criticism.
That's right.
Yeah. You have to be that way.
Yeah, but it comes down to wanting it.
Yeah.
And being wired that way.
Discipline.
It's way more important than talent.
Yeah, way more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget who it was. Is there some famous person that said something like, to the answer of, how important is talent? And they said, greatly important that you don't have it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
This is like a statement question.
Okay.
And I think maybe that you do. I think maybe you should. I want you to think about this. Like, actually think about the statement before answering the question.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
You introduced and completely changed the way that people play this game. You brought something to it that people didn't ever really think about as being something that could be incorporated into it. And it came from your previous life's experience and how that turned you into who you are and everything that makes you who you are. Does it ever hit you how big of an impact that actually is?
No, and so I can answer this really quick.
Yeah.
I think, I know that what I'll leave behind me is that. And
Yeah.
that's way more important than anything I'm ever going to win. Mm-hmm. Right? And it's going to live longer than anything that I would win, because the next day after you win, it's gone. Right? But building other people and them carrying it on and stuff lives for a long time.
Yeah.
It does. I think, honestly, my fear is nobody noticed.
Really?
Yeah.
I think.
So I don't ever think of it like, man, I did all this and stuff. I guess really down honest, I go, I wonder if I'm really right. And I wonder if even if anybody notices. And I wonder when I die and it's at my funeral, is somebody going to say something? Or is there even going to be anybody there?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's imposter syndrome. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's basically that, it's something that a lot of people that are really good at whatever it is that they do have and sometimes struggle with, which is that you never feel like you're deserving.
Yeah.
And so, but that in itself is what keeps a lot of people motivated to push further and work harder.
Yeah. But knowing that deep down, regardless of what other people think about it or how they perceive it, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm now at a place where that's enough.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I want people to learn it, and like I want people to think it's good and think, that I've done good with that, but it's okay if they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's really not.
It's really something I feel good about.
Yes, it's an internal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, that's the most.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to be coached by you,
Yeah.
but could only learn one thing, what would you teach them?
Well, you can't only learn one thing.
But if they could only have one piece of advice from you.
Advice, I don't know if I could teach anybody with just advice.
Yeah.
Plant your corn early. Don't pet a burning dog.
Well, what is that supposed to mean?
I can show them one move, and they just need to perfect that. That's about all I could do. If I
Yeah.
could do one thing,
Yeah, it would be
right,
one move.
I can show you how your eyes actually work and how they're actually controlled by the way you move. That would be the biggest gift I could give
Yeah.
you.
Yep, I would agree.
Yeah.
Because uniquely, that could be applied to everything.
Yeah, if you don't know that, and a lot of people don't, or they don't think that I'm right about that, but we are. And if you don't know that, then all of your endeavors after that is going to be lesser or wasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that we ever get to truly actually see the full impact that we have on a game or an industry or on other people as a mentor or a coach, or is that something that we kind of leave behind without knowing?
I think you get to see in certain circumstances. I think you get to see the impact.
Yeah.
Maybe not the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I don't really think that it's ever really. I don't think it's possible to see the full impact.
No.
Like even like there will never be. You will never know the full impact that you had on me. You'll never know.
No.
There's no way I can communicate that.
That's right. That's right.
I don't even know if I fully know.
Right.
And especially, I think the larger that you scale that up, I think the less that you'll know.
Yeah.
And I think, people that change things or, revolutionize things, whatever, look at things differently. I think that very frequently they feel the way that you do about,
Yeah.
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 The reason why I'm going to bring up the next topic is because of something that Anthony actually said on an interview that we did with him after he won the U.S. Open last year. And it resonated a lot with people, and I think that it was a vulnerable moment, but I think one that kind of needed to be said. And I'm not saying that to force you into thinking that you need to answer a certain way, but because there's no expectation that you would have an answer for this, but if you did, it would be interesting to talk about. The question would be, and take your time to think about it, think about your doubts or your struggles and like what keeps you going and stuff like that. But was there ever a moment where you thought about walking away from this sport? And what was the hardest day of your competitive career?
No, I've never actually contemplated walking away.
Yeah.
I think so. No, I haven't. Hardest day of my competitive career was I was at the first world championship I shot, and I was shooting, and I wasn't shooting good, and I saw George, and I talked to him for a minute, and I shot a low number. And I was told, no, you're good, so you're still in this, all right? And so I come back on Sunday to shoot, and I thought I was right on George's heels. Turned out I was 5 behind. Mm-hmm. And I caught him and passed him by 2 on Sunday. Going to the super final, never been out there. My gun won't cock when I get to the super final because I didn't do maintenance on it, so I'd have to open and close about 8 or 9 times, fill the sear catch, then call. I shoot a 14.
At 25.
And that one, I sat down that night and just tears come out of my eyes.
Yeah.
Just to have the world championship sitting in your hands, and you shoot 14.
Yeah.
Right. And Anthony was in that same super final, shot the same score.
Mm-hmm. What? How many behind? How many would have you have needed to shoot?
Well, George tore it up, so I needed all of them.
Yeah.
Or thereabouts.
Do you know why that it ended
that way?
I
just never been there before. Didn't know how to handle it. Hadn't had a lot of psychological training at the time. Mm-hmm. Scared of failure. Mm-hmm. Right. And the worst part is there for years. So the rules is high man goes last in that super final. Well, for years, Parsons does it in alphabetical order. Well, guess who went first? And back then they did a super sporting format, so it'd be 12 traps.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and they're showing you 12 targets, and you're the first guy up.
Yeah.
It's impossible to even keep up with what's coming next, let alone really read it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's too much.
So you have no experience. You got your dream set in your hands. It's at night. First super final. You go out there and you're first up. And this went on year after year. And they're throwing 12 traps.
Yeah.
Well, try to read 12 traps, first man up, for the world championship.
Right.
So that made it way harder.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just wasn't ready for that. Just wasn't ready.
If you had to put yourself back into that exact same situation, what would you do differently, or what knowledge that you possess now would help you?
I don't think I would be rattled now, right? Even if things were going wrong, I think I would still keep it glued together somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've shot good in super finals before, but man, the first one was horrible.
Yeah.
Right.
If you had to go, so what year was that?
It would have been early 2000s, so that might have been 2003 or 2004.
Yeah. If you could communicate to yourself at that time, as with all the life's experience, shooting experience, career experience, failures and successes that you've had since then, is there something specifically that you may tell yourself? And do you think that you would have listened to yourself?
Now I would. Then I don't know if I was capable.
Yeah.
Right. But years down the road, you have a lot more experience, a lot more wins, more confidence, more peace.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you're going to handle those scenarios a lot better.
Yeah.
Right. It's like when George walks out. What does he have to lose?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, even if he bombs the super final, he's still George.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he's won 28.
Yeah.
Imagine that, 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't.
That's nobody will ever touch that.
No. Without saying this in a way that takes anything away from him, because I'm definitely not doing that. If actually this statement should be the opposite, it should be a huge compliment. I don't think that that's even possible to do now.
I don't either.
It's just not.
I don't see how it would be.
No. Yeah, I just don't see that.
But, I remember George when he was in his prime, man, he would just do some feats that, I see guys win now and they're on a streak and they're winning, but they're not shooting the numbers George was shooting when he was prime.
Comparatively. Yeah. It was a different game back then.
Yeah. But even later in his career, still, just seen him do some spectacular
Yeah,
things.
me too. Yeah.
That number wasn't possible.
Yeah.
Right.
So what you would boil it down to is that basically the advice you would give yourself, if I'm wrong, tell me, would be patient. The lessons are coming, and you'll learn and grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you don't know if you'd listen to yourself?
I would today.
Right.
But if I could talk to me back then, probably not.
Yeah.
I would, but I don't think I'd be capable of doing it.
Yeah.
Right. I could do it today.
Yeah. When people talk about you decades from now, what do you hope is the one thing that they get right?
Well, I doubt they'll be talking about me decades from now.
Well, you were talking about the guys in the Remington book when you were a kid.
That's true. I just hope they think I did a job well done.
Mm-hmm.
Basically it.
What would that mean to you? How would you define that?
That I shot well, taught well, and and was just a steady hand at it.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to be you just want to be in that group.
Yeah.
Right. Of those people.
Yeah.
Right. That's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah, that's quite a lot.
Yeah. Who inspires you from the past now?
The first name I think is George. He's,
Mm-hmm.
he's just when you ask me that, that's the very first name and really the only name that came to my mind as real inspiration.
Is there anybody like even before the
well,
sporting?
just stories. It was nobody I ever met, but just stories that I read or heard, or like Doc Carver and Captain Bogardus and all those guys going back to the late 1800s.
I remember you talking to me about Bogardus as a kid all the time.
Yeah, and so there's just those stories, but nobody I would know.
Yeah.
Or
Did you ever have a moment when you first started the game and you first started kind of reaching out and branching out into bigger events where you were able to meet somebody that you held really high on a pedestal?
I remember the first time I was just starting out. I was at Big Spring Sporting in Tennessee, and I'm there like on a Tuesday, and there's nobody there, and this car pulls up, and John Kruger gets out of it, and I've been seeing him on TV, and the only thing I say is I go, hey, you're famous, right? And so I go shoot with him. And we shoot skeet together, and he was in town to do a trick show, and then he flies out. So that was a big deal to me. Yeah. Right. I remember the first time I saw Dan Carlisle in person. That was a big deal because I had magazines as a kid with his photo on the cover. Yeah. And I still have those. Yeah. And so just meeting the guys you always heard about, and stuff, the first time you meet them and see them in person. Yeah. I remember the first time I met Dan, I thought he's a Olympic athlete, and he shows up and he's bought this burrito from a 7-Eleven. He's chain smoking Marlboro Lights and drinking Coke for breakfast. Right. I'm going, all right.
So early on then, with, let's say, the experience with Kruger, did that have an impact on you in any way? Yeah. How often do you think about when a kid comes up to you at a shoot now that you're that same person?
I don't really see myself as that way. I don't ever think of it that way. I don't feel like I'm viewed that way. Yeah. Right.
Why do you? Why?
I don't know. I just don't ever think of it that way. So I don't really think I'm having any kind of impact.
Yeah. Right. Well, you are. And, I think that showcases your humility. And also a little bit of your inner self-critic.
I'm never really set out to be, I don't really like the attention that much. If you notice, I don't really advertise. I don't do a lot of these. I'm kind of under the radar. And I try to stay pretty humble, and it's not anything I'm trying to do. It's just that's where I'm comfortable at. Yeah. Right. And so I've never been in it for the hoopla or the attention or any of that really. It's just because I just love the art of shooting.
Yeah, that exhausts me.
And I was kind of over that from playing guitar and being with somebody who is famous. I wasn't famous, but the guy I was working for was famous. Yeah. You kind of get tired of that real quick. Yeah. And see how fake it is and how plastic it is. It's all smoke and mirrors.
And also, in a way, really how fake you have to be. Yeah. If you are there, you always have to be. You can't ever really be how you are in that moment. That's right. If you're one of those people.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's not real to yourself. Yeah. Or fair to yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think since I don't really like a lot of attention or being up in all of that, I think it hurts my shoot off sometimes and all that. Some guys thrive on that and they love it, right? I'm comfortable enough with who I am that I don't really need it, or want it.
Yeah. Have you always been that way?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that once you are able to get to a point like that where it really is a full removal of ego, and any external validation. There's no need for external validation. No. That's
a pretty good spot, actually.
It's a very important spot to be. Yeah.
And so I don't depend on somebody else's validation to feel good about me. Yeah. Right. And so that's a nice spot to be. Right. Where you don't feel the need to have to go prove something.
Yeah. Right. Here's the last closing thing that almost basically like just a little bit of introspection. This strangely is something that is fun for me to kind of think about, and I'm curious, number one, if you've ever had this thought, but also number two, if you haven't, or if you have, what your answer would be. But like if you were out on, for me, I don't look at it as a course. It's always like a layout, a park course, some beautiful area. And if you were standing out there by yourself, alone, for the last time, not because of like the end of a career or a culmination of anything, but if it was the last time that you were ever going to play the game, what would be going through your head?
Just to enjoy every shot, every moment, and try to soak all that up.
Yeah.
And you'd probably be thinking, man, I wish I'd done this a lot sooner.
Yeah.
I mean, soaking it up.
Yes.
And that's just like we've talked about earlier, those periods in your life, and that doesn't mean you're over the hill or your best time is behind you. It just means you're evolving. Mm-hmm. But you can't ever recreate the past or those streaks.
Yeah.
Right. You can have other streaks, and they may be even better, but you can't go back.
Yeah.
Right. It's gone. But if it was my last round.
Yeah. No, not your last tournament. There's no competitors, no pressure. There's nobody there. It's just you.
So the last time I shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, just soak it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but literally since I was a kid.
You thought about that?
At the end of every time that I would practice,
Yeah.
that I would always think, what if this was the last time I ever get to do this?
Yeah.
And literally, I know that in a way you could take that as like a very not good thing to think about.
Yeah.
But for me, it was always actually about how much I loved it.
Yeah, yeah.
And my thought on it has evolved. But as a kid, what I would always think was, well, if this was the last time I was ever going to be able to do this again, either because I might get in a car accident on the way home, or I just decide I don't want to do it anymore, or whatever it is, I could never leave having not answered whatever question or not fixed whatever thing.
That's super important.
It would bother me,
yeah.
and it would also bother my dad.
Yeah, if you left a stone unturned and stuff. That's why I keep going. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I want to know that I gave it everything I had.
Everything, yeah, it has to.
And I hear people say that a lot, but I see very few people give it all.
Yeah.
And I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
And so that's the way I want to leave the sport, is knowing that I did everything that I could, and I didn't leave any stones unturned.
Yeah.
And so there's no regrets. And
no regrets.
That's right. That's right. It is no coulda, shoulda, wouldas. Mm-mm. All right. And I think at that point, you can feel good about what you did, and if it's time for that to come to an end, then you can walk away feeling good about it.
Yeah.
Right. It would be horrible till your last round comes and you half-assed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would haunt you to the grave.
What literally did haunt me to the grave was I was so afraid of I could never leave a practice with my last shot being one that I didn't think was perfect.
You know what I did? I've never told anybody this, but I don't ever shoot my last bullet.
I don't either. So the last one in your pocket?
I won't ever let it.
I'll
either put more than that. I either put more than that in there.
Yeah.
Or I don't shoot it. But I never shoot my last one.
So you've never told me that? Because why do I do that?
Well, I never shoot my last bullet. Like if I'm shooting a box of shells, and it's the end of the practice, and I get down.
It's always 24.
I never shoot 25.
Holy crap!
I don't know why that is.
Do you also do it like? So if I'm practicing, even not just my last one of the day, but sometimes I get a little bit more neurotic on it, and I won't shoot the last one of the box.
Yeah. I never shoot my last shell.
No, it's never. I can't do it.
Started years ago, and I never shoot that one.
Is there? Do you know
and
why?
what's
You
weird
really
is I
don't know
stop
why.
students from it too, and they'll go, okay, I'm going, okay, that's it. So we're done today. Well, I've got a few shells left, right? Well, how many shells you got? Well, I've got 10. All right, shoot this.
Yeah.
All right. So they're shooting it, and they get down to the last one. I grab it out of their hand. I go, come on, and I put it in my pocket.
Maybe that's why I do it. Subconscious.
But I never let them take it either.
Yeah, you never let them know why.
I
So
actually-
you take theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually take their shell.
Is that how you paid for your practicing throughout all the years?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Free ammo. It only takes 25 years to get a box.
Right. Whoa, that's funny. I didn't realize it because I did this. I do the same, and I don't really know why I do it either. It's more of like a. It feels like it's an odd one that's left out that you shouldn't use.
It's kind of like the end of it, but my pockets are empty, and I just don't want them to be empty.
Yeah.
So I saved that last shell.
Mine, yeah. I mean, if you look at my vest that I use, there'll be one in there right now. The strange thing about that is that I think that for me, reflecting on that now, actually, it kind of goes in two ways because. So if you do that, then is your second last shell really important to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. There's a lot of pressure on
There's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And it's always been like, okay, because I feel like I'm cheating myself if the very next one that I do, if I'm at 23 and I get to 24,
Right.
I'm like, okay, 24 is my last one, and because I have decided I want to be done, I will fail myself if 24 is not perfect and I have to go to the next box.
Yeah.
And because I don't want to have to do another.
That's so weird.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
So you have the same approach, like that's how your mind thinks on that too.
Well, yeah, it's just I just don't want to shoot the last shell.
You just want to keep going.
So I don't. If I do shoot 25 instead of 24, right, I've got more shells than that in my pocket.
Yeah.
But I just won't shoot the last one. I don't know why.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well,
I've enjoyed this. I hope it's good.
yeah, I think it. Yeah, thank you for doing it. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Hopefully that it. My goal was to hopefully just make you think about things that are not normally thought about
That's
in an
right.
interview like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
Okay.